One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Bitches, remove your clothing. Remove your clothing.
Yeah. Angelica was a much hornier witch in your version. Witches, spread your lips. Oh, I have to stop doing things late at night. It's when I go completely squirrely.
Okay. All right. Let's.
Welcome to Riviera Rats, a Palme d'Or podcast. I'm Bill.
I'm Greg.
And on today's episode, we will be covering the 1983 Cannes Film Festival, in which the Palme d'Or went to The Ballad of Narayama by Shōhei Imamura. But first, Greg, my darling, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
We're already full of beans. We haven't seen each other in forever, and we're just being silly. How are you doing, though?
I'm good. I love the way we say that as if we're on a moratorium, as if we don't text each other 800 times a day. But that's just me showing off that I have friends, which is something I tend to do.
Not like me.
Yeah. What's happened since we last recorded? The Academy Award nominations came out, and Natalie Portman has fulfilled her dream of being nominated for an Oscar for Best Animated Feature. I mean, we knew this day would come. Here it is.
I did not know this. I don't pay attention to animated feature category.
She's one of the producers of that movie Arco, so she's on the ballot. Yeah.
She didn't produce Little Am I Lie and The Character of Rain.
I was looking at the list the other day because I was like, I think that there are nominees this year that I haven't realized are nominated because I'm only paying attention to the major categories, or forgetting that someone like Timothée Chalamet, Emma Stone, they have like additional nominations as producers of films that are nominated for Best Picture.
I also don't care about this Oscar season, and you know why? Because it's been a foregone conclusion for like 3 months.
It has, and also most of my favorite movies aren't there. And like, that's always the case because I'm a snob, but like, it's particularly low stakes for me. Like, neither of the two leading contenders for Best Actress are really strong for me. I would love it if Kate Hudson won because she is really lovely and wonderful in that film. But also, like, between the one miserable grieving mom and the other miserable agitated mom, it would just be nice to have, in this very dark time where I can't open my phone without being depressed about the noisy fucking neighbors down south, it would just be nice if like a little sunshine came into our lives via her winning.
Like an Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore.
Even brighter than that, actually. Yeah, it's just it. You know how when we watched Eyes of Tammy Faye, and like that movie is little more than a TV movie, but we went home just wanting to hug her because we suddenly loved her so much after being indifferent to her for so long.
Agreed.
That's how I felt about Kate Hudson after this movie. Not that I was indifferent to her, but like it just really made me take her into my heart. It's a very lovely movie. That's the right word for it.
Yeah, I think we all forgot how much we adored her when she first broke out in 2000 after she did a string of rom-coms. But she's the real deal. She's Goldie's daughter, and she's got her talent.
I mean, not quite, but yes, she does.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know that she has a shot at it. However, she is up against two non-American leading contenders, and that does tend to give you an edge in this category in the past. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, otherwise, I'm looking forward to watching the show with you, but I can't say that I'm like deeply invested in who wins.
Last year, my heart was in it for the cast of Anora and for Demi. This year, I'm excited for anything that I almost said station agent. Anything that the secret agent might win. And then I just want to see Teyana dressed up like Lil' Kim at the VMAs.
Absolutely. I mean, station agent. The secret agent has a good shot at the Foreign Film Award for sure.
Yeah.
I could see them giving Brazil 2 in a row. But you know what? We're not here as an Oscar show, and I'm going to record an Oscar show soon. So, you know, let's put all those thoughts on hold because I'm probably going to repeat everything I said about Kate Hudson on that show. Let's talk about Cannes. Greg, tell us about this year's festival.
Sure, Bill, sure. First, just let me turn off these lamps. Okay. This is the 36th festival. It ran from May 7th to May 19th of 1983. Probably Return of the Jedi is making big bank at this same period of time. The biggest event of this festival was that we had a new palais and it was not loved. And I
No.
know no architectural feat goes unpunished. Like you'll never make, I'm sure like the Empire State Building pissed people off. We all know the Eiffel Tower did. But I
Yeah, it
don't
sounds like
know.
they really bungled this one.
Yeah, like there was technical difficulties on the AV side of things. People were very upset with where screening rooms were, where meeting rooms were. It seems like there were workflow issues to it. Liza described it as looking like an Egyptian tomb. Many people referred to it as a bunker. And I don't know if revisionism has done anything for it. Like, do people think more fondly of it now, or is it just there? It's always been.
I think they got used to it. The main problem is the fact that they put the meeting rooms in the basement, which required them turning on artificial lights, and they put the screening rooms up top, which meant blocking out sunlight. We are on the Riviera, after all.
Wait a minute. They put the screening rooms in rooms with windows?
Well, I mean, up top of the building. So yeah, I'm assuming there would be windows that would have to be closed.
Oh, that the dumb
But even
bitch
if they
juice
didn't, I
drank.
feel like it still makes more sense to put it in the basement and then having the meeting rooms up top where you could just have windows to let in light.
Yeah,
So
that's a norm of theaters. There's many theaters where you go downstairs.
yeah, and there's not a lot of information. If someone could tell us, have they reversed this in since then? Has there been a reno? I don't know.
One day we'll go and we'll have to see for ourselves.
Yeah.
We've got a double Best Director win in this competition. We'll be getting to that shortly, but Robert Bresson, he's matched by very few people, including Joel Cohen, René Clément, Sergei Yudkovich, and John Boorman. Marcello Mastroianni established and held the record for the most consecutive years in official competition. This is in the middle of his streak, which was from 1977 and 1985. That's 9 years. He's closely followed by Marianne Cotillard, who was in competition 8 times in a row, and then Isabelle for 7 times between 77 and 83.
Yes, this is her last year.
This is right. So she's on a streak as well.
Yeah.
A movie I didn't think I liked, and then you and I went and rewatched it, and we took more kindly to it. Dark Habits by Pedro Almodóvar. First of all, there's no Pedro Almodóvar movie that Bill and I will ever not like watch over and over and over again. It's just not our favorite, but watching on a big screen recently was actually kind of cool. It was rejected by this festival and for weird reasons picked up by Venice, which is historically where all the Catholics get outraged. It was not accepted for this competition because of its blasphemy. It's about nuns who get laid and do heroin.
And one who has a pet tiger, don't forget.
That's right. That's right.
And it was shown out of competition in Venice because there were still people there who considered it blasphemous.
Adding to the prestige and the glamour of the Cannes Film Festival in its fourth decade, 1983 saw the arrival of a new TV channel that was devoted to filming the festival nonstop. The point was to cover the stars who were out and about at the festival, to pay attention to any scandals that might come about, to build suspense around who the winners might be. Certain rules were established to ensure that the festival would gain control over its broadcasting and make sure that its broadcasting partner was specifically through Canal Plus.
Canal Plus. I really love thinking about this like all access channel in 1983. Like think about that quality of video at the time. Think about men holding microphones with big bushy hair, smacking actresses on the ass and telling them, I really hope you're naked in this movie this time.
But also think about 6-year-old Bill watching the coverage at some weird hour because it shows in this time zone differently.
Yeah.
Being like, someone's like, Bill, what are you watching? Mom, that's Isabella Gianni. She showed her bush.
I love the idea that, first of all, that it would be available outside France, that it's like some international channel.
It's screened on TVO. Bill, tell us about the other competitions.
All right, so notable films and notable filmmakers who also played at the 83 Cannes Film Festival, but not in the official competition. In Un Certain Regard, we have Can She Bake a Cherry Pie by Henry Jaglom. Jaglom died recently. He's made a lot of a lot of movies. Most of them I don't really like. I do like Last Summer in the Hamptons. I've never seen Can She Bake a Cherry Pie, but he was an indie American filmmaker alongside the people like John Sayles, really taking the game outside of Hollywood. And he attracted quite important people in his films, including early gigs by the great Melissa Leo in his films. We have Chantal Akerman with The 80s. I've never seen this movie either. And I've never seen Agnes Varda's Ulysse or Billy August's Zappa, the future double Palmer. Out of competition, we have Angelo, My Love by Robert Duvall, one of his rare movies as director, although he did make more. I really like The Apostle. I think that's probably his most acclaimed.
Been a while since I've seen that one.
It's a great movie, yeah. We have The Salacious The Hunger by Tony Scott. This is the super funky new wave lesbian vampire movie starring Catherine Deneuve, Susan Sarandon, and David Bowie.
And a live performance by Bauhaus.
Oh, right. I haven't seen it in so long. This movie is so 80s. It's so ridiculous. I always loved Susan Sarandon saying that she objected to the fact that the script originally had her getting drunk before she has sex with Catherine Deneuve. And she said, I'm sorry, guys. You don't need to get drunk to have sex with Catherine Deneuve, whether you're into women or not. She's like, we're not doing this. We also have Robert Altman's Streamers, which I also haven't seen and I need to watch because I'm prepping a column on him for my Substack.
Cool.
John Badham's War Games. This is a really cool movie that was nominated for an original screenplay Oscar in 1983, which is about Matthew Broderick playing a video game that accidentally starts World War III. And it's super dated in terms of its technology, but it's really quite clever and well made. Ali Sheedy is also in it when she's very young.
We should mention it's also the closing film of the festival.
Right. And then we also have The Wicked Lady by Michael Winner. This is a Golden Globus Canon Films remake of a 1940s Gainsborough Pictures movie that originally starred Margaret Lockwood, is that her name, from The Lady Vanishes? And the remake stars Faye Dunaway, post Mommy Dearest exile, and a very young Marina Sirtis before she had her nose job. This is a terrible, terrible movie that I thoroughly enjoyed. It's absolute trash. In International Critics Week, speaking of John Sayles, we have his wonderful film Leanna, which is about Canadian actress Linda Griffiths leaving her husband for a woman. It's a wonderful film. I love John Sayles so much. He's also in it, and I believe he's in tank tops in it, so it's worth seeing.
I thought about John Sayles a lot while watching one of the movies in this competition.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I love him so. In Director's Fortnight, the great Australian filmmaker Fred Skepsey, who made A Cry in the Dark later on, he brings Barbarossa. The very prolific Werner Fassbinder brings The Station Master's Wife, Bolfisa. And a delightful film that I love, Bill Forsyth brings Local Hero, which is a film that just like its charms increase every time you watch it. At the Academy Awards for 1983, the Best Picture Oscar went to James L. Brooks's Terms of Endearment. This was his first movie as director, and still his most successful. I really love broadcast news as well, but he hasn't really done much for me since. And his latest film, Ella McKay, was probably the worst movie this year, and it's a real shame. The Best Foreign Language Film Oscar went to Ingmar Bergman for the third time with Fanny and Alexander, which also was his last theatrical feature film.
If I'm not mistaken, for some time held the record for foreign language film with the most Oscars.
It's a record that has not been broken. It's only been tied because Parasite and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and I believe
Roma.
All Quiet on the Western Front won 4. I think Roma only won 3. Fanny and Alexander is a movie that everyone loves that I've never really fully warmed up to, even though I get why it's great. And it's one of those movies where when I say that, people decide they need to explain to me why it's great. And I get it. It just doesn't unlock a key to my heart.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I had a great experience watching it with our Nordic descendant friend Anders, who was able to point to details in the Christmas celebrations and say, like, that is something that I see at my house celebrations.
Yeah.
It's like that.
The Golden Bear at the Berlin Film Festival went to Ascendancy by Edward Bennett and La Colmena by Mario Camus. I do not know either of these films. And the Golden Lion went to Jean-Luc Godard for First Name Carmen, which is a movie that I actually remember enjoying. It's been a long time since I've seen it. Greg, tell us about the jury.
I was happy to know a lot about all of these jury members, almost all of them. That's not usually the case when we go back in time. Usually there's like 4 or 5 cinephiles. Our jury president is none other than Pulitzer Prize winner William Styron, author of The Confessions of Nat Turner and Sophie's Choice. The adaptation of Sophie's Choice won an Oscar for Meryl Streep just the year before, so his name was out and about at this time.
Mm-hmm. It's a worthy film adaptation, but the book is quite rich with storytelling and has a scene in it that haunts me to this day, and I think about it all the time.
Also in competition, Henry Alecan.
Alecant.
He's
probably the name is probably of a different origin, but yeah,
that's what I was scanning. Yeah, so I'll say it like a French person. He's a French cinematographer who's done a number of films we've talked about on this show already, including La Bataille du Rail, La Belle et la Bête, and Je t'aime. And my favorite movie, Juliette or The Key of Dreams. He's an Oscar nominee for Roman Holiday. And then he won the Triple Crown of Critics' Prizes for his photography for Wings of Desire just a few years after this.
Right.
Also on the jury, French journalist and author Yvan Babi, who is a culture columnist and a film critic for Le Monde. Also, Sergei Bondarchuk, a Soviet filmmaker and actor whose film Dream of a Cossack competed in 1951. I was silly and watched the whole thing with bad automatic subtitle, and I basically say I haven't seen it. He made a version of War and Peace that Bill really likes and is now on Criterion. And he made They Fought for Their Country, which we covered in the 1975 episode of this show. This is his second time on the jury. His first time was in 1967, the year of Blow Up.
Oh, wow. So we just talked about him.
Yeah, we just talked about him.
And I forgot about it already.
Also on the jury, we have one of the first really famous Arabic filmmakers, Youssef Chahine from Egypt. He's been 5 times in the competition for the Palme d'Or and a couple more for the Certain Regard Prize. He has to be up there with the superlatives for most years between first and last competition, because he first shows up in 1952, and then his last time for the Palme d'Or is 1997.
Yeah.
And in that year, he won the 50th anniversary prize for his lifetime of work. So I'm excited to see his stuff. Cairo Station is the one I know the most by name.
He made a movie in 1999 that I saw at TIFF, and when we all sat down to watch it, it turned out that it was in Arabic with French subtitles. And I just decided to battle it out.
Also on the jury, we have Malian filmmaker Souleymane Cissé, director of the movie Yalin, which we'll talk about at one point in this podcast. Movie we both love. It's very magical. And we've got French producer Gilbert de Goldschmidt, famous mostly for The Umbrellas of Cherbourg, though he also is responsible for the French distribution of a number of Monty Python movies.
Oh, God.
Coincidence, Bill? In the jury, we also have Mariangela Melato, Italian actress most famous for a run of Lina Wertmüller movies in the 1970s. We talked about her in Love and Anarchy, and we'll talk about her again in Seven Beauties and Swept Away.
Also, every jury needs the one member who just won't settle down. You know what I mean? And hands out snacks. And I feel like that's her job this time.
Yeah, she's the fun one, the cookie aunt.
Yeah.
Also on the jury, famous British New Wave filmmaker Kharij, most famous for Saturday Night and Sunday Morning, but also filmmaker of The French Lieutenant's Woman from just a couple years before. And then finally, a real champion of Israeli cinema, Leah Van Leer. She's a founder of the Haifa Cinematheque, the Jerusalem Cinematheque, the Israeli Film Archive, and the Jerusalem Film Festival. Really sounds like somebody who is like one of the very pioneers of the film industry in that part of the world.
And sounds like someone who comes from a very small country, because like they have one person doing all of these things.
Well, I mean, she did all these things like what, a decade after the 1940s? Like,
yeah. Leah's also definitely the one who brings the snacks, just so you know. Like, you got a Jewish woman in there, probably a mother as well. Of course, she started all the cinematheques in the country. She's not going to let anyone else do it.
You're saying she gets the Yenta Award for this jury?
Absolutely, yeah. Hi, Daniel.
Bill, tell us about the competition.
All right, Greg, let's get into it. Let's start with our award winners. First up, the Grand Prix, second place at the 1983 Cannes Film Festival goes to Monty Python's The Meaning of Life by Terry Jones. Apparently, the jury was very divided on the palm, but was unanimous in choosing the Grand Prix. In the midst of all this, said Terry Gilliam, suddenly I could feel this heat on my back. It was like the sun was burning. It was really hot. I turned around, and there was Jerry Lewis, beet red, staring, just angry because we were in his way. We were in France, and the camera was interested in us, and he hated us. It was just a great moment. I could actually feel the heat coming off of this man. His face was so ugly, so full of hatred. It was amazing! Jerry Lewis was apparently furious that Monty Python was there and furious that they won an award. But Jerry Lewis is furious all the time. He called Joan Rivers a cunt on TV. So, he was not famous for being a very nice guy.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Terry Jones won the prize and joked, "The money is in a bag behind the sink." The article I read about it suggested that it anticipated the dark humor of winners like Yorgos Lanthimos and Triangle of Sadness. I don't really agree.
Nah.
But it marks the end of Monty Python as a group. It was the last film they all made together under that moniker. And it follows it follows the life of Brian, which came out in the late 70s, which is the one film of theirs that I really, really liked.
Yeah, same.
Which bankrolled Handmade Films, owned by George Harrison, for a very long time, which was also a very controversial film that had so many people up in arms about its apparent anti-religious flavor that they were on television debating with British religious leaders about it. And you get the impression in making this film that they're doubling down on all of that. Like, if you really think that we are going to be controversial, we're going to talk about things like the failures of all British systems, whether it's religion, the NHS, all these things. This movie is a series of skits, all arranged around, of course, the cycle of life from birth to death. All done in their jokey humor. I've never been a Monty Python guy. I don't know many gay people who are. They're a real straight guy thing. They're a real stage crew thing.
It's because we have French and Saunders.
Yeah, and so there's nothing wrong with them. It's just not what floats my boat, and I don't care. And it's another one of those things where when you tell people you're not really into it, then they decide that they need to describe every single skit to you to tell you why they're so brilliant, and I find it kind of tiresome. This movie opens with a visual effect of their faces on fish, which really upsets me. It grossed me out. I don't know if you know this about me. Giant chicken costumes make me really upset.
How are you about the chicken lady on Kids in the Hall?
I can't look at it. I can't look at someone in a chicken costume. It actually makes me really upset.
Is this your pomegranate?
Yes, it is my pomegranate. I'm not joking. It makes me really, really upset.
Sorry for everybody. For everyone listening at home, I get very grossed out by a bisection of a pomegranate. It's a trypophobic thing.
Yeah.
And now we're learning that Bill has a phobia for people in giant chicken costumes.
Yeah, even though I like chickens, I've squared off with them many a time. My friend has them in her backyard, and I like birds, but for some reason a giant chicken costume upsets me, and for some reason goldfish in dirty looking water with men's faces visually affected on them also gives me the same level of upsetness, to the point where I wasn't looking at the screen the way I do when there's like a really gross injury on film.
I'm gonna need to spend some time with this, Bill.
So the movie takes on healthcare, religion, education, politics, relationships, aging, dining out, death. It's got it all. Some of the skits are a bit funny. The one about the children singing "Every Sperm is Sacred" is funny.
No, it's not. Sorry, Bill,
I mean,
it's not.
It's amusing. Some of them are like amusing, but for them, and like the Mr. Creosote thing that everyone loves, I find really.
Oh, I hate that one.
And it's being too much is sort of the point. I like all of these guys on their own. Like Michael Palin's interest in exploring the world is fascinating. I think he's the cutest of the bunch as well. I think Graham Chapman is the sexiest, but I think Michael Palin is the cutest.
Well, and he's actually cute, not just cute out of the five.
Absolutely, yeah. So I don't know. I don't have a bad feeling about Monty Python. I just don't care, and I don't even like this as much as two other movies of theirs that I've seen, so I don't really know why it's taking second prize at the festival, unless the jury just wanted to seem cool.
Yeah, I think this is a real miss. I like Life of Brian a lot. I didn't grow up with the Holy Grail, but I respect it. I think it works as a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
This is not just missing for me because they're not my flavor. It's missing for me even for a Monty Python movie. And I didn't, and I never laughed. And Mike was excited to sit down and watch it with me, and then he left.
Everything it goes after, I don't have to struggle to figure out, and I can't say that it has like a really ironic flavor to it to make it clever. The way Life of Brian does. The way Life of Brian is a religious epic that takes place to the left of the religious epics that you normally watch, and that whole thing is so funny. The fact that it actually plays a lot of it straight is why that movie is so funny.
The Holy Gourd is hilarious.
Yeah.
I could rewatch that anytime. And weirdly, I grew up in a Catholic household with a funny bone, so it was normal for us to watch that around Easter. It was like a tradition that would actually make us think more about the life of Jesus.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I think that, yeah, props to you, Deb and Mike. 20 years later, I'm now going to introduce my parents to The Last Temptation of Christ.
It's a really good movie. Third place went to Kharij, The Case is Closed by Mrinal Sen, a Bengali Calcutta filmmaker. My Bengali Bangladeshi friend always makes me point out the difference.
If when we say someone is Bengali, we're saying them from West Bengal, but if they're from Bangladesh, they're Bangladeshi. Is that correct?
I don't know. I just know no, because my friend is Bangladeshi and she calls herself Bengali.
Okay.
That's the culture, but it's just different depending on where you're from. Remember that India is a continent; it's not a country, right?
Totally. That was separated by colonialists.
The point is that Satyajit Ray is the most famous Bengali filmmaker, and Mrinal Sen is like the second most famous. And
Guru Dutt.
yeah, and like I have not cracked his filmography, and this movie made me definitely interested even more than I was before because I really enjoyed it. It follows his appearing in competition with Sen Ek Din Pratidin in 1980 and Genesis came after it in 1986. It won the National Film Awards in India Awards for Best Screenplay and the Golden Spike at the Valladolid Film Festival. This is a movie about a middle-class household in Calcutta where a family has asked a little boy to work in their house as a servant, as would be very common for their caste, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a boy from a village whose father brings him and leaves him to live there and then says, I'll come back to collect his salary from time to time. One night, there's a cold spell in Calcutta and the boy locks himself in the kitchens and sleeps next to the stove. When they find him the next morning, after banging on that door for like 30 freaking minutes, like just break the door open, drove me crazy. They find him dead.
It's a coal stove, we should add. He died
It's
of
a coal stove, yes.
He dies of monoxide poisoning.
Right. The doctor is sent for because he's not responsive. The doctor says he's dead, so then the police are sent for. Of course, they find that he died of monoxide poisoning. The father comes. The whole movie is basically meant to point out the rigidity of a class system that is so deeply entrenched that these people have someone living in their own home and know nothing about him.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that it's smart not to make them like cruel masters in any way. They're just treating a servant like a servant. And maybe we should think about the fact that like these people are human beings. They need to call for his father to tell him that his son is dead, and they don't know where he lives. They don't know what village he lives in. Half of the movie is taken up with the father just trying to find people who know where his father is so that he can go inform him. And then when the father does come, they take care of these burial arrangements, and they're sort of appealing to the man to forgive them, basically, because they feel guilty.
Yeah.
But of course, he's more interested in mourning his son than he is in making them feel better about everything.
Yeah.
And this movie brings up all these things without pointing fingers or being,
a
screed. It's not. It doesn't have a hectoring tone. It's a very gentle movie, but a very, very smart one that's exceptionally well acted. I would love it if it was possible to see a better version of it, because of course the one that we watched was like a real eyesore of a faded print. So
to the point where you could mistake it was from an earlier decade, to be honest.
Yes, yeah.
Really quick correction of myself. I said Guru Dutt. No, the third famous Bengali director I was thinking of is Ruy Guerra, who made the Cloud Cap Star.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, including that I can't wait to watch a better resolution of it. In professional degrees and also in like some like sociology degrees, you learn about the backpack of privilege. It's this concept. I think it started with a journal article and now it's just a lay term. And we talk about unpacking your backpack of privileges, examining all the ways that you walk through the world with privilege and power. It's really corny, and it's to point out that people make fun of it and say, like, let's unpack our backpack. But the one thing I always found salient about it is that whether you choose to stand for something or not, or whether you choose to relinquish something or not, or whether you choose to sacrifice for something or not, usually it ends with you unaffected. This couple are going to great lengths to make sure that the father has a cozy place to sleep and that he doesn't sleep in the same coal room where his son died. And so much of the movie is about them really trying to, I guess, perform atonement without knowledge that they are perhaps being performative.
Mm-hmm.
It's not judgmental of them for that either. It gives them space to be uncomfortable with each other and with themselves while they struggle to figure out what the right thing is to do about this, but they can't bring back the kid's life.
Yeah.
This would also be a suitable screenplay winner if this was in a year that had a screenplay winner, and it was not.
Yeah, because that award did not become regular until the late 90s, I think. Mid 90s? I don't remember.
We can fact check that.
Winning Best Actor, Gian Maria Volonté with The Death of Mario Ricci by Claude Goretta. We've already talked about Goretta with L'Invitation, who won the jury prize for that in 1973.
That's
and
right.
And then we'll be talking about him soon because The Lace Maker was at the festival in 1977. This movie takes place in the village of Étiolaz, the fictional village of Étiolaz in Switzerland, where a man has come to interview a scientist about his theories on world hunger, played by, what's that guy's name? Heinz Bennett, the guy from Possession. He's come to interview him for a television show he wants to do about him. The scientist is somewhat reticent to talk to him. His wife is very lovely and starts a sort of muted affair with his producer or whoever he is. At the same time, this village has kind of been rocked recently by an accident during a construction project that killed an Italian migrant worker named Mario Ricci. Not a migrant worker, but he's from abroad. And there's secrets around it. And Gian Maria Volenté's character just happens to be everywhere when people are spilling secrets about it in a bar. He's always nearby. So he gets unwittingly involved. So there's two strands to this story that, for me, they don't connect at all, and they don't lead to much. This is a movie... Gian Maria Volonté said that he turned down the story of Pieta because it didn't have anything political for it, because he only wanted to make political movies. And, like, I guess there is something political in this movie, but whatever it is sort of obscured by the fact that it's wandering in search of its point, and its plot feels like it's made up on the spot. This movie was very close to getting my dand. I thought it was really empty and really fucking boring. And he's good enough in it, but he's always like, I feel like they were paying tribute to his career more than anything else.
Correct.
So
yeah, it was colorless and insipid and kind of lethargic. The movie never picks up any energy. Everything, and I sometimes can go for that. You know, like I love slow cinema, but slow cinema still has things to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a big no for me. I didn't understand his win for this at all, and I don't understand how they waste that famous actress from the Fellini movies in a small waitress role.
I know, really insignificant. Oh, Heinz Bennett is also in The Last Metro. That's probably what he's most famous for. He's her husband who's hiding in the basement.
I think he's one of these actors I don't know at this recording, and I'm going to know really well in like a few seasons of this show. I've still not seen Possession. It's one of the most
great.
One of the most culty movies I've not seen. And
I know I've seen it a couple times. I took my dear friend Sheila to see it at the Fox, and she was quite blown away by it.
We're going to cover it the same year as Quartet. My final word on this is that even in '83, Gian Maria Volonté, still a handsome dude.
Yeah. I mean, if you go for that sort of thing,
I go for a Lee Marvin.
Yeah, I guess so. The Best Actress prize, speaking of which, goes to the great Hanna Schygulla for The Story of Pieta by Marco Ferreri. We recently talked about Ferreri when he brought the scandalous La Grande Bouffe to the festival in 1973.
That's right.
But he also won the Grand Jury Prize for Ciao Maschio in 1978, and a whole slew of other films in competition, all the way up to The Flesh in 1991.
His movies also win acting prizes, like
The Ape Woman, or The Queen Bee, or whatever it was called.
Yeah, that's right.
Before we get to talking about this movie and Hanna Schygulla, it should be pointed out that this movie qualifies for...
Isabel Watch.
Isabel Watch.
And boy, do we watch her. I don't know if that's her bush, but that thing is a rug.
I mean, you look back at European movies in the 80s and they were pure exploitation of women, and Isabel's just like, I don't care, this is fun. And she's making all these outrageous movies. And this year alone, she's also in La Femme de mon Pote by Bertrand Blier, who is one of the most outrageous French filmmakers. I just posted a clip about him on Instagram today. And at the same time, she's also in Entre Nous by Diane Curis, which is like my favorite of her movies, which is not an outrageous movie, but it is brilliant. But Isabel is not the Best Actress winner for this film, although she is the title character, Pieta. This movie is based on the memoir of Pieta degli Esposti, who actually died in 2021 at the age of 83. She was in Sorrentino's Il Divo, She was in Pasolini's Medea, actually, and The Unknown Woman by Giuseppe Tornatore a few years ago. It's based on a memoir that was dictated. She sat down with a journalist and told him her whole life story, and he wrote it down and published it as a book, in which she talked about this very, to say, unusual childhood, in which she had an incestuous relationship with her mentally unstable mother, and a lot of inappropriate moments with her father as well. And they both ended up in mental health care. And somehow through that, she managed to put her life together and become an actress. This movie is very interesting because we got to know Marco Ferreri as this... Why did I say it like an English person? We got to know Marco Ferreri as this outrageous filmmaker, provocateur. This movie is one where all the content in it is really explosive, and he has a very gentle and humane touch to it.
Yes.
In that this woman is clearly... you know better than I do, like, what is the mental illness that she has that no one can name in post-war Italy? She's bipolar,
totally,
borderline personality disorder,
yeah.
You know, and she expresses it through this sort of outrageous sexual provocation where she needs validation so much from everybody that she's even crossing the line with her own daughter. It's not a passionate eroticism she has with her. It's an intimacy beyond what we consider normal because of the fact that she cannot achieve her own sense of self without drawing everybody so directly into her vortex.
Because it's about her emptiness.
Yes, and I appreciate that he sets all of this in this incredibly patriarchal, toxic masculinity world where every man around them is an absolute predator. So why wouldn't her mental health issues express themselves as her needing validation in this manner? You have her daughter, who for the first 40 minutes is played by a younger actress who's a good match for like the young Isabel. Bettina Grun is her name. And she's got men pining after her. She's like 12 and doesn't have breasts yet. And men are constantly having to prove their prowess on everything female around them, including little girls, including her mother's psychiatrist.
Yes.
Who has toys on his desk to demonstrate a lack of balance. Your mom is not balanced, like this toy. And then he tells her she has nice little tits.
Think of it like a less shaming, less hateful Savage Grace. It examines these people as people in their environment.
Yeah.
It's saying that Italian society is fucked up. Don't be surprised if these two women end up histrionic, flailing mad.
Well, yeah, because she needs genuine help. And her husband, thankfully, is not cruel to her about it, but he's also like, well, I hope she's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And then when they fight, it's very telling, that part where Hana Shigula screams at her, stand up for me, you idiot, to her little girl. And it's like, this is what you need when you can't fight against your own husband. Mm-hmm. So I really, really appreciate that Ferreri makes a point of giving us a reason why she in her illness expresses it a particular way. The movie's very modern in that regard.
Yes.
The problem is that it doesn't really have much else to it. Like it's not that interesting and it's not that compelling. The interactions aren't like great drama.
No.
I'd also like to know about this night where we watch an entire performance of Medea and then a rock concert afterwards. Like that's long summer nights in Italy.
Question. Give me Cole's notes of Medea, and is it being used in the film for intertextual purposes?
Well, I mean, I don't know if she performed it in real life. I mean, she would have. If she was a classical actress, she would have done all those plays. But yes, I mean, Medea is the woman who killed her children because her husband left her. So yeah, it's about a quote unquote bad mother.
Your critique of Le Grand Bouffe is my critique of this movie, which is all of the cool ideas it has are all already executed in the first 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So the rest of it is just kind of there's an inertia about it.
Yeah. And then on her performance, I mean, I appreciate the win because it's a really, really bold characterization. She herself said that it was her favorite role she'd ever had because she just loved how far it pushed her from her normal self.
Yeah.
I just don't know how comfortable I am with dubbed performances winning awards because you're not the entire performance. You know?
I agree.
Not because I don't want to take it away from her for that reason. It's just that because I know Hana Shigula in so many other movies and I know how good an actress she is. I mean, she is truly one of the greats. She is one of the most beautiful women ever to appear on film. When you see her naked in this film, like her body was a level of perfection.
Her ass.
You just got to be born with. Like she was, and I've seen her in other movies, like her body was stunning. She's still great. I mean, her body is whatever it is at this age, but she's still a fantastic actress. And I love seeing interviews with her. I just love her. I just wish that she had won for something where she's much more in her element. European movies far too often did this, where they chose the actor and didn't care if they didn't speak the language. It looks like she's speaking English with Marcello, and I think she's speaking French with Isabel. And Isabel is also dubbed. Isabel's actually dubbed by Laura Morante, who we're going to watch in the Sun's Room.
Cool. I really like how game Marcello is to not be a leading man. Like, this guy is trying his hardest through the 70s and 80s, actually all the way to his death, to not be a matinee idol, to not be a first build leading man. He always had an indifference to his iconography and his sex symbol status, and he has no problem being feeble. He has no problem playing a cut.
Yeah.
I think that's something the guys who pull it off are usually the ones who know that even at the end of the day, they're still sexy.
Absolutely. No, he was the real deal. All right. We have been blessed with a lot of awards going to single films this year, but we do have one shared prize because the jury was divided on the Best Director prize and decided to simply give it to two films. And it basically broke down to half of them liking one and half of them liking the other.
Yeah.
Neither of the directors were happy about it, and they were both openly angry about the fact that they had to share the prize with another person.
But we'll get to it, but also, like, you shared it with the other great director.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's a different world of egos.
Yeah.
The first Best Director winner was Robert Bresson with L'Argent. This was his last time at the festival, and I believe his last film. He first came with A Man Escaped, which was his first Best Director prize in 1957. And then The Trial of Joan of Arc in 1962, and Mouchette, which we talked about in 1967. This movie won the National Society of Film Critics Award for Best Director. It won Best Film from the Cahiers du Cinéma, tied with À nos amours by Maurice Pialat. Bresson was booed by a lot of people when he went up to accept this prize. I guess they did not like this film. And both of them wanted the palm, which is also why they were both very upset to share the Best Director prize. This movie is based on Tolstoy's story, The Counterfeit Bill, also known as The Forged Coupon. Even though it's his last film, he didn't die until 1999. It is a very simple plot, focusing all on a counterfeit dollar bill, or not a dollar, but a franc of some variety, that a couple of kids create as a prank. One of them uses it at a photography store. The photography store uses it to pay the gas man. The gas man is jailed for the counterfeit bill, and it goes on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
I've talked to you before about how Bresson is not fully my flavor. I don't respond to him the way a lot of other people do. I think this movie is perfection from beginning to end. I think this movie is so stunning. I think it's the exactness of it, the
precision.
Yes, and the message is so strong. You know, the poor always pay for the sins of the rich. You know, it's stated clearly without being overstated in any way. It's bleak, it's uncomplicated, but he directs it at something of a remove from the actions of the characters. So there's no condemnation, or, you know, like, it's all amoral. It's all very, like, matter of fact. And at the heart of it, I think, is at the heart of what is at a lot of his movies, which is that we have this very foolish modern notion that we don't all need each other, and that is nagging at his conscience, which is why this movie has this sort of circularity where one action leads to another, but it's not about punishment. It's just a cycle that keeps going, and it keeps going after the movie ends.
Including in the chain reaction of events, the idea that one character will arrive at the conclusion that we aren't connected from each other, we're alienated from each other, that people are not born good, and that to be punished by our fellow man is not a sacrament.
Yeah.
The movie ends on a very bleak moral note in that regard, and really shows what a failure the carceral system is at rehabilitating people, because someone basically leaves a hardened, pessimistic, even nihilistic killer.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the vision of ATMs in 1983. Really quite something to see. I mean,
I know. The way colors pop, like, didn't you feel like every scene was a photograph in a museum?
Yeah, and that's also why I love that it wins Best Director, because it's the most directed movie in the best possible way. Like, there is someone really at the helm of this movie, and it's a shame that he didn't make any more movies after it, but if this is how you end things, this is a great way to go.
What he does with sound design in this movie, I wonder if it influenced Ceylan, and I really want to find out how he does sound recording. I don't know if Bresson is always using sound effects that are on the set and adds them later.
Oh no, he's
Um,
definitely not.
okay, yeah, so he's using Foley.
Yeah. His Foley is very expressionistic.
So much, and it works really well next to scenes like when the hand pushes the other guy and then you see the guy falling against the table.
Yeah.
I love the sound, and there's a great quote from him in one of the Criterion featurettes where he talks about how sound automatically records something as it actually is and does it indiscriminately. You can argue that or not, but he says it's just it is a strict recreation of what this sound actually is. But film is always filmed from an angle. He loves what he's able to do, mixing the expressive nature of the visual medium of film with the very real, most realist of realism of sound. And he wants to see if he can make sound more expressive, coming somewhere towards the middle, while making the very expressive nature of film feel as naturalistic and real as possible. I think he's made something in this movie that feels like you're watching a very naturalistic slice of life movie, but also makes you feel like you're watching a music video. There's so many cuts. Uh, I, I I think this movie is magical, and its length is part of it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing that's possibly a plot hole is that I feel like even in the 80s, he would have had proof that he serviced that store as the gas man. I feel like there was a receipt with the name of the guy. You know, when he goes to the store and they're like, "We've never seen him before," and they're lying, and it's just like I feel like there was a receipt involved that would have had his name.
Yeah, although I just read an article in the New York Review of Books about like the Dreyfus affair, and like what it taught me is that like if people want to make like a bad verdict happen, they'll make a bad verdict happen.
I know. The Best Director prize was shared with Andrei Tarkovsky for Nostalghia. Tarkovsky had won the Grand Jury Prize for Solaris in 72 and again would win the Grand Jury Prize for The Sacrifice in 1986. He also showed Andrei Rublev at the festival, but I don't seem to have that here. Maybe it was in an official competition. I don't remember. This is his first film directed outside the USSR. The Soviet authorities wanted it screened out of competition, which is apparently what helped inspire him to defect. He would never go back to Russia again. He wanted Anatoly Solzhenitsyn for the lead, but he was ill with cancer and couldn't do the part. Tarkovsky would die a few years later of cancer, and it's believed that they both were contaminated by filming in toxic sludge in Stalker.
That's salient.
Yeah, he died quite young. He was born in 1932, actually. He was a contemporary with the Nouvelle Vague and officially defected in 1985, died in 1986.
And then this poor master filmmaker has to share prize with the lowly, ineffectual Robert Bresson.
I know. I know. He said, "Our nostalgia is not your nostalgia. It is not an individual emotion, but something much more complex and profound that Russians experience when they are abroad. It is a disease, an illness that drains away the strength of the soul, the capacity to work, the pleasure of living. I analyze this nostalgia, confronting it with a concrete story, that of a Soviet intellectual who comes to Italy." He made this film without a translator to further emphasize his remove from the main character's experience with what's going around him. So what is this movie about? And I sound super shitty. I actually really, really love Andrei Tarkovsky, and
Same.
I would have made out with that cute mustache of his anytime. It is about a Soviet filmmaker who comes to Italy to research a composer, is it?
Yes.
Yes. And finds himself flashing back to memories of his childhood and how being in a foreign place makes him long for home in a way that he doesn't long for it when he's actually home.
Yes.
That's basically the gist of it. And then there's just a lot of really cool imagery in the vein of Tarkovsky's work. You know, someone's always springing a leak, so there's always a puddle in the room in any of his films.
You'll never finish one of his movies without getting tetanus.
That's right. Marina Vukotic is in this movie. She's also in another film in the festival. Now I can't remember which the other one that she was in, but most famous for her work with Buñuel in the 70s. And then at one point, the main character also runs into this sort of seer of some kind, a modern day prophet who shouts things about modern day alienation, played by the great Erland Josephson, who is dubbed in Italian. It's a really cool movie. I mean, it's not a movie that hits me super deep. I got a little snoozy watching it this time. I'd seen it before. I think I watched it on the wrong day, but I think it is a really cool movie. It's far behind the movies of his I love the most, but I think it's, it's a strong entry all the same.
Yeah, we're on the same page. Tarkovsky has never made a movie that's less than 4 stars.
Hmm.
And this is just the least of a completely quality filmography.
Yeah, it loses a little bit just for the fact that it's not hard to figure out, and his movies usually are. That's part of the pleasure of them is the fact that they are so challenging. Like The Mirror is one of the hardest movies he ever made.
And in
Um,
Stalker, you need to see through to the end, and then the end really packs a punch. Yeah, I found this movie for what it's about, sort of overly embellished.
mhm.
Like if that's all you're saying with all of this gorgeous photography, you're basically showing me a screensaver.
Yeah,
Because so I guess what I'm saying is like it's a really beautiful husk,
yeah.
and I think maybe my critique about it's so virtuosic I can't shit on it, but like my main critique about it is like I'm not feeling the nostalgia.
Right, yeah. Which was my
Yeah,
critique of the last nostalgia movie that we did.
I still don't understand how he pulls off some of those shots though. The changing of light in a room without changing the camera, and I'm
I
like,
know.
how the hell are you doing this?
No, he was a true magician, and it would have been
Yeah.
wonderful to see where he could have gone from them. Like I said, he died so young. He was like 54. And he died in Europe, of course, because he defected, so he never went back home. And Natalia Bondarchuk, who is in Solaris, who is Sergei's daughter, had come to, I think, Paris for a film festival, but it's Soviet time. So, of course, she comes to the festival under heavy supervision.
Hmm.
And she said that she knew he was dying in the hospital and she wanted to visit him and see him one last time before he died, but they wouldn't let her.
That stuff breaks my heart.
That stuff really fucking breaks my heart. And it really makes me wonder what is going on in this world that everyone is just getting in the way of everyone living their fucking lives. But anyway, do not get me started. All right, those are our award winners. Let's move on to the films that were also in competition.
There's a lot of good ones. There's a lot of contenders for awards in this list of non-winners.
Absolutely. First up, we have Carmen by Carlos Saura. We talked about Saura with Anna and the Wolves in 1973. We were not able to find his 1960 film Los Golfos. He won the Grand Jury Prize in 76 for Cría Cuervos, and in 74 he won the jury prize for La Prima Angelica. He would be back with El Dorado in 1988, which we also talked about. This movie was also nominated for Best Foreign Language Film and lost to Fanny and Alexander. It won the Technical Grand Prize, Best Artistic Contribution at Cannes. It won the BAFTA for Best Foreign Language Film and was nominated for a Golden Globe. It is the second part of Carlos Saura's flamenco trilogy, which begins with Blood Wedding in 1981 and ends with El Amor Bruto in 1986. And later he has another trilogy of Spanish cultural films, or excuse me, Ibero-American cultural films, Flamenco, Tango, which was nominated for an Oscar, and Fados. This movie takes the storyline of Carmen and puts it in the context of flamenco. It is about a director of a dance troupe played by a legend of flamenco in Spain, Antonio Gades, who died in 2004 at the age of 67, was married 5 times, and Fidel Castro was best man at his wedding to Marisol, who is in this movie. He was a dedicated Catalan separatist and communist. And he plays the head of this dance troupe who are putting on a flamenco theatrical piece based on Carmen by...
Bizet.
No, Bizet's the opera, but the novel is...
Oh, that I don't know.
Mary May, based on the novella by Prosper Mérimée, is that how you say it? Prosper? Which was also made a film with Rita Hayworth called The Loves of Carmen, which is a real dooze. But of course, in its most famous form is the opera by Bizet, and the Habanera
Yes.
in particular. The Habanera. Which we hear in this film. But the point of the movie is the flamenco and the fact that the story reflects Carmen because, of course, he hires this gorgeous Spitfire to play the lead role, and she ends up toying with his heart, much in the way that Carmen does in the story. She is so perfectly cast. I love that actress so much. I love this movie. I love the way he films flamenco.
Yeah.
I love that the camera dances as well as the people, and there's always a sense of movement. I love the 80s colors, all this orange and brown, and how beautiful it looks in this movie.
Yeah.
Paco de Lucia is also in this movie as his friend Paco. All of your mothers who have CDs of the Gypsy Kings on their shelf will usually have him next to them. My sister loved him a lot. Honestly, my only complaint about this movie is that I wish Carlos Saura was a little bit gay, because we have all these great butts and genes that we are not spending nearly enough time focusing on. But otherwise, I think this film is a wonderful treat.
Yeah, it is. And right after saying I feel like Nostalghia is a really small conceit used as an excuse for like 2 hours of gorgeous filmmaking, I don't feel like this movie is using a small plot line as an excuse to show us gorgeous flamenco. I think that it's kind of like how in Bollywood, like the music and the dancing is the narrative power. I think
Yeah.
the flamenco is the narrative power of the movie.
Yeah, the aesthetics are the substance.
And it makes us feel the danger. It makes us feel the sexual tension.
Yeah.
I found myself really fucked up about the romance that is happening outside of the production that is crossing over to the production itself. And I never knew at times if I was watching the production or if I was watching the romance, which is the point. It is very affecting, intense, and I never know where the camera is. I don't know where it's placed.
It's just delicious. I love this movie so much.
Yeah, and it's very sexy. And it's one of the movies in this list I most thought I need to show somebody this.
Oh, totally. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Next, we have Cross Creek by Martin Ritt. Ritt was here with The Long Hot Summer, which we talked about. He also brought Norma Rae to the festival, which won Best Actress and the Technical Grand Prize. Cross Creek was nominated for Oscars for Best Supporting Actor for Rip Torn, Best Supporting Actress for Spice Girl Alfre Woodard, Best Costume Design, and Best Original Score. It was one of the National Board of Review's top 10 films. This movie is a very elegant period piece about Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings. She was the author of The Yearling and Jacob's Ladder, and it's basically about her coming into her own. It's a Künstlerroman, if you will, about her coming into her own as a writer. Out of Africa actually follows the same formula this movie later on, which is that they begin with a break from men and sex, and then that's what allows them to go off on their own into the wild and become great artists. In real life, actually, Rawlings actually bought that orange grove with her husband, and they worked it together before they divorced, and then he went off, and then she met Big Dick Peter Coyote and married him, and he's in this film. Of course, the real man who he's playing is in this film because he was still alive when this film was made. She died quite young of a cerebral hemorrhage, I believe. It stars the great Mary Steenburgen, fresh off of her winning an Academy Award in, I believe, her first major lead role, and she handles it, you know.
Yeah.
I love this movie. I don't love this movie, but I love this movie. I think it's so beautiful, and it's so delicate, and it's not significant, but it's also gentle and smart, and it just moves along, and it's just this experience, and I love how everything looks. A lot of it centers around her befriending her neighbors. That's who Rip Torn plays, he's like a bayou backwoodsman, has his family.
I think this movie is really lovely. You can change things about it. I don't know if the voiceover narration works.
Neither do I.
One thing Ritt always gets right is a sense of an environment and the sense of temperature in an environment of like what it feels like to touch things.
Yeah.
It has that humid clamminess that I associate with Passion Fish, another Alfred Woodard movie I was thinking about while watching this. There is parts in the voiceover narration where she talks about the land and her relationship to this land and how it takes care of people who take care of it. We're all trying to talk more about this kind of stuff as we reflect on our relationship to reconciliation in this part of the world in Canada. And I think that this movie captures that reflection beautifully in this one person. I didn't feel like I was just following the beats of The Yearling. I felt like I was like seeing how this person could make The Yearling from her experiences.
I know. I mean, I've never read The Yearling, which I should, because it won the Pulitzer Prize, and I love that movie. I've never read Jacob's Ladder, but I know what it's about. I know what they're both about. Yeah. And I actually really love seeing her stories come to life. Because what's also happening to her is that she's constantly trying to be a writer by writing all of these gothic fairy tales that her publisher is rejecting. Her call to artistry is for her to realize that her material is all around her and that she has a gift for capturing it and that she needs to write it down properly for it to be published. And I love that experience of that. Martin Ritt made so many good movies. He made so many smart movies, and he made really cool movies about women, which is why it's interesting. You know, Barbara's autobiography talks about making Nuts with him. She hired him to make that because she admired him and because the original director fell through. And he was quite ill by the time she made Nuts. She believes that he had cognitive illness. And so she ended up kind of secretly directing the movie because he didn't really know what he was doing.
Because he was nuts.
Because he was nuts. Shirley MacLaine said to her, "Why did you hire that guy? Everyone knows he's a misogynist." And I'm like, I don't know if that's true because it's Shirley MacLaine saying it, and she has her rules and we have ours. But if it's true, it's quite interesting that his movies really reflect quite an opposite ideology. I mean, and maybe they are so good because he was a taskmaster who drove everyone crazy. I don't know, but this isn't even near his best, and it's still a really good movie.
It is, and the ending of it is really powerful. The shot of the creek from like the level of the boat moving through it with her voiceover narration is one of the most beautiful things I've seen. And I still need to know what Peter Coyote's dick looks like.
Peter Coyote is not the most handsome man you ever saw in your life, and yet you put me in a crowded room and say, which one do you want to sleep with? And I would be like, that guy. He's so sexy, but he also just seems like he's so much fun. Like if you just, I would blow that guy in front of my mother. Next, we have Duvar, The Wall by Yılmaz Güney. We talked about Güney quite a lot because the year before this, he had won the Palme d'Or, half of it, for Yol, The Road. The Turkish filmmaker who had escaped prison to make it to the Cannes Film Festival, and now returns to it as a subject in making this film about life in a Turkish prison.
Yep.
With a real, self-induced, as the trivia says, childbirth scene.
All right.
This movie has a sprawling narrative of characters. It particularly focuses on the young ones because these people are all in jail for, I'm sure in most cases it's a debtor's prison.
Yeah.
No one's paying attention to maximum versus minimum security. You do something wrong, you're in jail, and you stole $5 and you're in there with a hardened murderer and everything in between.
And the appeals process is rigged.
Yeah, and there's a whole system of like, some people have creature comforts because they can pay for them. Kids have to basically beg for indulgences from the adult men who we are told take advantage of them sexually. We never really see it happening. There's just a lot going on, and then at the heart of it is this situation where prison inmates are complaining about the fact that they have very little, the ones who don't have money to pay for things, they can't shower or eat or what, like they can't live decently.
Mm-hmm.
And they're being abused by guards who tell them, well, if you didn't want to live like this, you shouldn't have committed a crime, even though we all know that it's like poverty that's gotten them in there in the first place.
Yeah, like all of these kids are straight out of the Rose Cellar from 1998.
Absolutely. And this is a very important aspect of this film, and I appreciate, given that he had spent time in prison, he really wants to educate his fellow countrymen on this particular social problem. The problem is that this movie is terrible, and the actors all act like they are not the actors, the kids are great. The adults all act like characters in a Mel Brooks movie in this movie. They are so over the top and ridiculous. And you're making this movie to expose an injustice of humanity, but your movie has zero humanity in it.
It also has zero subtlety.
Yes, and all the problems I had with The Road, which I like despite not thinking it's amazing, are like multiplied big time in this film. And it's a real shame. He died like a year later of cancer, and it's a real shame because maybe he would have just kept getting better as the world changed and he got more support from the West to keep making movies and would have gone on to make better things. But this movie is awful.
I'm into endurance tests about abuses of children in broken systems. Like Children Underground is one of the best movies I've ever seen.
Yeah.
This one, it's just it's so one tone. It is very overt. It doesn't trust us to get the point. All of the actors are told to do too much because the director thinks they'll be doing the most. It could end or begin at any moment in the movie. It feels like it's assembled haphazardly in that regard. There's no sense of where it's going as a story. I thought the one child sexual abuse scene was tasteful. That was the one thing I thought was like well done, where like the kid has to walk out of the room and then he just comes back and cries by himself. And I was like, that actually, and shot in the wide, I thought that was kind of good. But no, I don't think it's good. The only reason why it's not lower in this, like how I rank this competition, is because it did truly scandalize me at times. Like I just didn't know it was that shitty.
Yeah, it was like Midnight Express is what it reminded me of, basically. And also seeking to sort of right the wrongs of Midnight Express, because of course that movie was controversial for the fact that it did not reflect the situation accurately, to the point that the guy that the movie was about was angry about it. but we'll talk about it because I think that movie played at Cannes. We don't see the kid's sexual assault. We don't see anything gay because that would have been a level of scandal that he just could not possibly take on. We see brief nudity when the men are forced to strip, but then we see like women fucking shaving their bushes, spreading it for everyone to see. She gives birth on camera, which he doesn't even hold the camera at the right angle for that scene. Why are you making this cheesy Roger Corman girls in prison exploitation movie at the same time that you're telling, this movie's just bad.
Yeah, it's not good. And it made me think that he's probably director by name on The Road because it's the tasteful thing to do, but probably the other guy's doing the work.
Well, that was the question about that movie, right? The fact that he directed it from prison and somebody else held the camera led to the controversy about authorship.
Yeah.
Next, we have Eréndira by Ruy Guerra from Mexico. Guerra came back with Guarup in 1989 and Estorvo in 2000. This film is written by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. This is something that he actually wrote as a screenplay and then lost it, and then wrote it as a story that he published using characters from 100 Years of Solitude, and then wrote a new screenplay from memory for this director to make this film in the early 80s. It's the first of 3 film adaptations of his work by Ruy Guerra, who is a very famous Mexican filmmaker whose work I have never seen. It is about a young woman living with her crazy, crazy grandmother, played by the great Greek legend Irene Papas. She's speaking Spanish, but she's dubbed by somebody else. That's not her voice. And she has the appearance of like a terrifying sorceress out of a Disney movie. She's fascinating.
She's so good.
Her granddaughter accidentally burns the house down at the beginning of the film. So her grandmother says, well, now you're going to pay for it with your body, and pimps her out to literally every man in Mexico, wrings this poor girl out to dry, in this sense of extreme sort of magic realism and with which stories by Marquez are told. The only person who steps in to possibly try and save her is her sweet little friend, played by a German child star who gave up acting after this movie and became a ballet dancer, which you can tell because of his lithe body and giant butt. And who, by the way, I know what you're thinking, but he's too like Twinkie even for me. We have a lot of problematic family situations in this Cannes Film Festival.
Oh, no.
This movie, we also have the grossest cake I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh, filled with like what, dynamite or something? Yeah, she fills it with
poison. She tries to poison her. She keeps trying to kill her and it doesn't work.
A lot of the grotesquerie of this movie reminded me of the early Peter Jackson movie.
The zombie movie?
Yeah, a lot of the rococo aspects of it, like it's like the mise en scène is just like really garish and gaudy, and it reminded me a lot of bad Almodovar that I still love. Like I loved Kika when I finally saw it on the big screen. It's so trashy and not good.
Yeah.
And that's how this movie's working for me. This is great trash for me.
Yeah, this is what we diverge on this one because I know what you mean, but I found this movie boring. I just really struggled to get through it. I just didn't like it. I found it unpleasant and not interesting enough. Harvey Weinstein picked up this movie. This is an early acquisition for him. Not his first major one from Cannes, but Shulman wrote about this in, I think, his book, actually. And he talked about it being the earliest example of his style of marketing to get art house movies beyond the art house, because he picked up this movie for release. He got the young lead actress a photo shoot in Playboy and emphasized it's being written by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Like, he really tried to sell it to a wider market. It was submitted for the Oscar for Mexico for Best Foreign Film, but it wasn't nominated.
It probably shouldn't be a competition film, but I hope it's a cult film.
And I also love Irene Papas, and she died recently, so I was really cool to see her, because despite her not speaking the language, she's like so perfectly cast in it, and she's so
monstrous.
Unmistakable and fearless in the role. It's basically an art house version of the D.D. Blanchard story is what we're watching here. And it's fascinating for that.
Speaking of fucked up family situations, Bill.
Yeah. Next, we have Forbidden Relations by Zsolt Kézdi-Kovács.
Forbidden Relations.
We're not supposed to be together because we're siblings.
In your eyes, forbidden relations.
That said, I do have Hungarians in my family, and I was very excited when she mentioned making chestnut puree. What do they call it? Gesztenye, I think. It's my brother-in-law's favorite dish, and my sister makes it for him every holiday. She crushes the chestnuts herself.
That takes time. I don't want to let a thing go, Bill, I need to run a couple of things by you. One, do you know what my favorite Rene Clément movie is?
What?
Forbidden Games. I know you're going to think my favorite erotic drama from 1990 is Wild Orchid, but do you know what it really is?
Wait, The Forbidden Dance?
Forbidden Dance.
All right, we are getting real squirrely now because it is late at night.
Sorry.
This movie is Hungary's entry into the festival. It is apparently based on a true story. It is about a young woman in a small village in Hungary who meets a man on the bus who is taking over he's moving into a house in her village. She shows him where he lives, and then they give into an immediate feeling of lust between them and fuck. And then goes home, and her mother says, by the way, your brother, who you don't remember because he left when you were very small, her half-brother actually, it has moved back to town. He's living in so-and-so's house. And she's like, Jesus Christ, I just fucked my brother.
Isn't that so Cape Breton Island?
The genie's out of the bottle and she just can't stop. And they end up going as far as, having kids together, wanting to get married, which of course is a problem for authorities. They go to prison. And, the guy, her brother, is a real ne'er-do-well who cheats people and is not reliable. And yet this is the one thing that he really sticks to is his devotion to his sister wife.
Not just, he sticks to keeping it tight as...
That guy's sexy, right? I'm not crazy.
Bill, we've agreed on Peter Coyote in this recording. I think
Right.
the guy's fine. He's aging like a straight man. Like his face is busted.
Oh no, he looks like the cigarette has become all ash at this point. If you see a photo of him more recently, but no, at this point he's quite sexy and they have a sexy chemistry. She looks like Giulietta Messina,
Totally.
Childlike, sexless woman.
That does not mean we're co-signing them making flipper babies. Want to make that shirt.
This is a phenomenon that happens all the time, and I think what it mainly has to do with is the fact that people are related, but they didn't grow up together, and the contempt that we have for being intimate with the people who we're closely related to has a lot to do with our experience of them. I remember someone had said that, I was talking with somebody who said they'd read read a study that said that we're kind of coded in our lizard brains to find the smells of our closest relatives particularly disgusting as a way to make sure that we don't get jiggy with them. And I wonder if that's a learned thing from, sharing a bathroom with your siblings and your parents, as opposed to never having met them. Because I've read other cases where the mother was in prison her whole life from the moment she gave birth to her kid, and then she gets out of prison and suddenly she and her son are in a love affair. I wonder if there is a psychosis that happens to people where they're trying to make up for lost time in the most extreme way of being that intimate. I don't know.
Wow.
Clearly disturbing, but it happens so often that there has to be a particular reason for this, and it's usually in cases where they're very closely related, but they did not live together, grow up together, know each other in that context.
I think the explanation for why it has to happen this way is because it has symbolic weight, and it will complete the 3-act structure.
So that's my main problem with this movie. I appreciate that the director's not obsessed with moralizing, and he's not obsessed with gazing at this freakish relationship.
Yeah.
And at the same time treats the people that they upset very generously. Her mother loses her mind, and who can blame her? And she's so great. That woman is so beautiful. She's the woman from Electra, My Love.
Hungarian Kathy Moriarty. Fucking
totally.
loved her.
Yeah. We don't have a problem understanding why the whole world is freaking out around them, but we also kind of get why they're into each other. We, against our own better judgment, are kind of turned on by their chemistry.
Totally.
Other than the fact that he, for some reason, always licks her face like a cat every time they get it on.
People have tried that stuff on me, and I just sort of dissociate for that moment. I'm just I'm just kind of okay, everything else is working. I'm not going to yell at you.
So those are things in this movie's favor. It's just not that interesting. And I've watched it twice now, unfortunately. And it's fine. It's just not that great.
Yeah, it has a TV movie of the week quality.
Totally.
Every beat is spelled out before you've even watched it.
Yeah, it's not a work of art.
It's not. Nothing to write home about. Very watchable.
Speaking of works of art, one of my favorite filmmakers, the team of Merchant Ivory, who are here at the festival for the third time. Heat and Dust by James Ivory is based on the novel by Ruth Power Jobvala, who wrote the screenplay. They had been here before with The Europeans and Quartet, and would be back with a little film called Howard's End and Jefferson in Paris and The Golden Bowl. It is about a woman played by Julie Christie who, is there anyone more divine in this world? And I love her so much. Anyway.
Talk about hair so full it looks like a wig.
I know. She gave up the Charlotte Rampling part in The Verdict to be in this movie. She plays a woman in modern-day India who travels there to find out more about her great aunt, who in flashbacks is played by Greta Scacchi in her, I don't know if it's her first role, but it's certainly her breakthrough role. It's her first time in a notable role, who had come to colonial India to meet her husband, who was there as sort of like a minor,
like an administrator,
to be his wife, but she finds it very hard to fall in line with being one of the white mem sahibs and just really wants to explore this gorgeous and exotic place that she doesn't react to with the same kind of empire building remove that all the other ladies do, and makes a bit of a scandal of herself, and then officially makes herself a scandal when she runs away with a shady kind of prince from a neighboring principality, played by the great Shashi Kapoor, whose wife was Jennifer Kendall, who plays the boss's wife, who's constantly like freaky, the one who lost her child and is constantly like having panics and whatever. That was his wife. They were all in the Merchant Ivory film Shakespeare Walla together, and then she died only a few years after this of colon cancer.
Oh, God.
Yeah, we have a lot of sad stories in this film. And Christopher Casanova, who plays her husband, who has a lovely butt.
Yes.
Yeah, later on Dynasty and died in 2010 at the age of 67. This is Merchant Ivory's breakthrough box office hit. They got started in the late 60s, made a lot of obscure art house films throughout the 70s. This was like their first art house hit, and then it's no surprise that they went one step further with A Room with a View after this, which won Oscars and then established them for good. Julie Christie was actually born in Assam, India, where her father ran a tea plantation. So
that explains why she was so interested in making this.
Probably, yeah. She moved to Wales when she was a child, so she didn't grow up there, but that was where she started out her life. Yeah, so anyway, this movie is not like, it's not extraordinarily deep in any way. All of its pleasures are on the surface. But those surface pleasures are really quite pleasurable. I've seen this movie many times, and I always really enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a very handsome movie. The drama is real drama. The stakes are real. The meanings are all surface. The critiques are all surface. I'm okay with that because nothing else about it is bad.
Because the characters are all so beautifully wrought and cast as well. Like, I love Greta Scacchi because she just has this perpetual sense of mischief. You know, when you see her in this or in The Player, she's someone where you really cannot predict what she's going to do next, and you believe that she could possibly do anything. And she's so wonderful for this role.
The nonlinear diptych structure, that what I joked, the Julie and Julia with an abortion. It shouldn't work, or it should feel disjointed. But the feeling of going back and forth in time like this. It works for me.
Yeah, and I love the characters in both versions, and I love Madhur Jaffrey as the prince's mother, the tough, like such a wonderful character actress, or not character actress. She's a wonderful star, actually.
The other movie that does it just to the same quality, going back and forth in time between characters who are not directly connected, is Fragrant Tomatoes.
I was just thinking about that movie the other day. That one's very deep in my heart.
Secrets in the Sauce.
You know, one of my dad's favorite movies.
That and Thelma and Louise.
Yeah, 1991 was a real ladies' moment for my dad. He loved that movie so much. Next up, The King of Comedy. This was the opening film of the festival, directed, of course, by Martin Scorsese, who's back after Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore and winning a Palme d'Or for Taxi Driver. He would come back for After Hours and win Best Director in 1986. But for now, we are at The King of Comedy, which is sort of a lighthearted version of Taxi Driver, also starring Robert De Niro as the very unique Rupert Pupkin. It is really not that complicated to point out the ways in which this film anticipates the culture to follow, and it makes perfect sense that this movie was not understood or appreciated in its time and was a huge bomb, considering that we watch it now and the whole thing makes so much sense from beginning to end. I'm really glad that I got to see it properly too, because I think I rented a video cassette of this like many years ago and thought it was just okay. And watching it, you know, properly in widescreen, beautifully rendered, I really appreciated how gorgeous this movie is and how funny it is and how smart it is. And we have this incredible performance by the one and only Sandra Bernhard.
My Best Actress winner, by the way, in this group.
Yeah, and she won one of the critics groups for Best Supporting Actress this year
Yeah.
and was like touted as an Oscar nominee. She's so fucking good. What is it about? Of course, Rupert Pupkin, like I said, he wants fame. He dreams that he's a great comedian and has built his basement as a replica of his favorite talk show and eventually kidnaps the talk show host, played by Jerry Lewis, who, for all that he was a fucking asshole, he is so goddamn good in this movie. His
He is.
surliness is just on point. He expected to win Best Actor and was very, very upset that he didn't.
Well, I am too. Him or De Niro or both winning would make so much more sense than Gian.
It would have made so much more sense. This is actually the first year that US movies are completely shut out of awards since 1969, according to Jean-Jacques.
Wow.
This movie won the BAFTA for Best Original Screenplay. You know, it didn't end up getting any Oscar nominations, but it was celebrated by critics. It was Cahiers du Cinema's #5. It's his first movie after Raging Bull, which might also be why audiences didn't like it. I think they were expecting something a lot more Baroque
Yeah.
and something deeper or something heavier. It is a pretty deep movie.
But something more interrogative in classical terms.
Yes. And he actually took over at the last minute. This was supposed to be a Michael Cimino movie that was reassigned because Cimino was so overdue on Heaven's Gate that he couldn't make the shooting date. So Scorsese took over, even though he was already apparently he was recovering from pneumonia and exhaustion and pushed to start filming a month ahead of schedule to avoid a director's strike, so he made it under great duress. But this movie has production design by the great Boris Levin, who won an Oscar for West Side Story, and also did The Sound of Music and Giant. His last Oscar nomination was Scorsese's The Color of Money. I love the talk show's office with the red and white Kentucky Fried Chicken stripes on the wall.
Yeah.
And I love Robert De Niro being the same level of crazy as Taxi Driver, but in a humorous vein. One of the things I love about this movie is that Jerry Lewis gets kidnapped, and instead of being panicked or angry, he's just like annoyed.
And resigned.
And it's so relatable because if it happened to me, I'd be like, I have so much to do today. My schedule was so carefully arranged, and you're fucking up my to-do list. And I'm super annoyed.
Because the less interesting version is someone gets kidnapped and they're thinking, why me, why me, why me? What makes this great, and this is, I would identify with this as well, is that he gets kidnapped and he says, of course, of all days, today I got kidnapped.
Right, yeah.
Of course it would be me. Why wouldn't it be?
Yeah, and this might also be why a lot of people didn't like this movie, is that it really plays with conventions, including the fact that when he finally gets to do his set, it's not that bad.
It's all right.
Like, he's a psychopath who kidnaps someone, so you want him to be punished, but he's not punished. He actually, again, an ironic ending that would work far more today, which is the fact that he ignites possibly a great career.
Yeah.
You know, this movie is facing the fact that the 80s, that show business is being taken over by corporate interests in the 80s, and that's sapping out a lot of the easy riding, raging bull, artistic daring of the earlier period. And it's not something people are willing to face yet. We're willing to face it now because it's happened. And because we're watching Netflix shows where people are basically just saying barcodes and calling it stories. But like at the time, I don't think people were willing to face it. And so this movie, it's too good. It's too far ahead of its time. But fuck, it's so good.
It's really funny. I think the Oscar clip for Sandra Bullard.
Barnhard. I can't say her name. She's scary.
The Oscar clip for me is her performing Come Rain or Come Shine in her underwear.
And just when she rides his lap and she's like, we want to get crazy. Yeah.
She's so good.
She's so fucking good.
When she puts the sweater on him and she's just like, yeah, I think it's good. I think it's his color.
Moving on. Next we have a director I love so much, Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence by Nagisa Ōshima, who had won Best Director in 1978 for Empire of Passion and came back with Max Mon Amour in 86 and Taboo in 2000, which is a really sexy movie. 2000 or 1999, I don't remember. And of course, Ōshima was always all about breaking through erotic taboos in his storytelling. Born 1932, died in 2013. This movie is based on the books The Seed and the Sower and The Night of the New Moon by Sir Lawrence van der Post, who's represented by the Tom Conti character. It's inspired by his experiences in a Japanese prisoner of war camp set in Java in 1942, although it was filmed in Rarotonga, which is a French Polynesian Cook Island, and parts in New Zealand. And the story is basically Tom Conti's character is witnessing this phenomenon that happens when the head of the prisoner of war camp, played by the great Ryuichi Sakamoto, also passed away.
Yeah.
This movie stars two musicians, legendary musicians, who are both dead, which is incredible.
And who were both like real vanguard
Yes.
renegades.
Yes. And I believe he originally just hired him to do the music and then was like, no, you should also play the lead because it's kind of inspired by Mishima. Anyway, David Bowie is brought to the camp. He's sort of a Billy Budd figure that Sakamoto has a subtle erotic reaction to, where he's sort of obsessed with torturing him.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the movie could go a lot further in this regard. Maybe it goes far enough for the 80s. I don't know, but
it could have gone at least as far as Beau Travail. Like, you know, you never see Denis Lavant like rape the other guy.
No.
But the eroticism is there.
Yeah. Basically, my main thing about this movie is that I think the first half, maybe first 2/3, are really, really cool. But by the end, it's like, oh, we've never really boiled over to we've never really seen all of these tensions that were set up get resolved in any satisfying way. We also have the great director Takeshi Kitano as one of the guards in the camp. I really enjoy his performance. He, of course, delivers the title line. All the actors are so good. The music is one of Sakamoto's most iconic scores. I mean,
dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
There's a scene in the documentary Coda where they've set up a piano in like a subway station or something, and he plays that melody just on the piano, and like everybody sits down to listen. It's so, so beautiful. Anyway, I really like this movie, even though it's not a great movie. I've seen it like 5 times. I don't know. I've seen it so many times. I think it's really, really cool, and it's a shame that it's not better.
Yeah, like all the ingredients are there. Ōshima has fantastic taste. He knows what he wants his movie to look and sound like. I just think that the movie is all valleys and not enough peaks.
Absolutely. Moving on to a movie that I have no time for. Also a movie that I was watching a second time because I used to do my own exploring of the Cannes Film Festival competition list before I knew that I was going to make a podcast with this bozo over here. So unfortunately, that means that I had to watch One Deadly Summer by Jean Becker a second time. This movie was celebrated in France when it came out. It won Césars for Best Actress and Best Supporting Actress for Suzanne Flon, who plays the deaf aunt, who was one of the longest affairs that John Huston had. Also won Best Adapted Screenplay and Best Editing at the Césars. I think Isabella Gianni has like 5 César awards, something like that.
Let that indicate the value of the César awards.
She initially turned this movie down. The role went to Valerie Kaprisky. Then she read the book and changed her mind. This movie was a huge hit at the box office because, you know, it has big stars and she's naked in high heels all the time. When this movie came to Cannes, Isabella Gianni decided she did not want to be photographed by the press inside the Palais, and for whatever reason, she pissed off the photographers. It triggered a strike, and they showed their dissatisfaction by refusing to photograph her even outside the Palais. And there's an amazing photograph I've seen of like all of their cameras lined up on the red carpet.
That's cool.
She's always had a contentious relationship with the press. She's never really been good at keeping them in line the way the best stars do, the way Elizabeth Taylor's always been good at doing.
The way Isabelle Huppert does.
Yeah. And then she feels that they vented her anger on her, and then she spent the night of the screening crying because everyone was being so mean to her.
Girl, please.
Yeah, I mean, I like her. She recently almost went to jail for some kind of tax fraud. She's obviously a lot, but I think she just needs to meet more people. So what is this movie about? French Geoffrey Rush is a mechanic in a small French village.
French Geoffrey Rush.
You know what? You can say about anything you want about how funny looking that guy is. I guarantee you that guy has the biggest dick you've ever seen in your life.
Completely.
That type, body type, and face type always does.
Yeah.
So he is a mechanic, and she has just come to town. She's like a manic pixie slut.
The way she walks, it's like a special person acting sexy for the first time in high heels.
Right. She's always fully overdoing it, dressed way too provocatively, you know, always a lollipop in her mouth, you know, like a full porn fantasy. He manages to rope her in and marry her. And then we find out, the narrative switches to her perspective. We find out that this was all a ruse, that she's actually there to get revenge on the people that she believes were responsible for her mother being raped during the war before she was born. and that this family is connected to it, and that this whole activity has been a characterization on her part. We keep switching, like the narrator keeps switching because we keep switching perspectives in terms of finding out more about the true story, about what happened. I understand that this movie doesn't want to be a typical revenge movie. She doesn't actually get revenge. She actually finds out that the truth is a lot more complicated than we think, and that this fantasy we have that we can achieve justice for the wrongs of the past is unfortunately not possible, that we're no longer in the exact moment that we were back in the day, and that
information's revealed that like she understands what happened differently. She's about to make a mistake if she actually carries out her revenge. She then has an about face, goes mad, and then there's a sequence towards the end of the movie where she just becomes the "Come to My Window" video by Melissa Etheridge.
yeah, it's so like I appreciate that it's not in any way typical, but it's so dissatisfying. This movie, it's not directed by Claude Chabrol, is I guess what I want to say.
It's not made by Jacques Becker either.
Exactly. And so like I just don't find out nearly enough for this to be interesting to make up for the fact that it's not like a satisfying revenge thriller either. What it has going for it really is all this like delicious nudity and a great cast. And also like it's always a gorgeous summer day in this town, and I love looking at the place that they're in. But this movie is way too long for how little it rewards you.
She becomes less interesting as she becomes more noble.
Yeah.
I really like her when she's just like stupid and maybe evil.
Well, because she doesn't become noble, she becomes whiny.
She's ineffectual.
Yeah, like she puts things in motion that never pay off well, even if she's making a mistake. Like they never come to fruition. And then I don't find that she pivots intelligently when she finds out new information.
No, we do get her breastfeeding though, and that makes this the third movie with weird child-parent relations.
I know. I told you there's a lot of inappropriate family situations in this competition. Also, the little girl who plays her in the flashbacks is Mai Wen, who you might know as the blue lady in The Fifth Element with the stones inside of her. She had a baby with Luc Besson when she was 16. And later became a director. She
made Jeanne de Barry?
Yeah, with Johnny Depp. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she also won second place at Cannes. Or third.
Wild.
For a film she directed. Yeah. So that's her. Maïwenn Lebesco, but she's just Maïwenn now.
She's the blue bitch with the stones inside her?
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Moving on. A Station for Two, or A Railway Station for Two, by Eldar Ryazanov. This is a zippy little rom-com.
A meet-cute
in a mere 2.5 hours because it's Soviet times and everything is homework.
When Yuri met Olga.
He's a musician he's taking the train out of Moscow to his father's village to see his father one last time because he's about to turn himself in for a prison sentence for a car accident that caused the death of somebody. And as is planned with these railway trips, you stop in a certain town halfway through, you go into the railway station restaurant for lunch, and then you get back on the train. But he makes a fuss at the lunch. He wants her to bring him diet food, which is hilarious.
Thank you. I also laughed at that. He kept saying, "Where's my diet food? I want diet food."
I wonder if we were watching a weird translation, if he means something else.
Or I wonder if it literally means diet food, but diet food is a real term that they made up in that country, which signifies like the low-calorie option.
Sure. As if they're giving you too much food in Soviet Russia to begin with, which is the hilarious part.
Yeah, he probably just means I want less potatoes.
So he makes a fuss with the waitress about diet food, and then he refuses to pay because he didn't eat what she did serve him, and that delays him, and he gets stuck in this town. He misses his train. And then her boyfriend shows up. She likes to get fucked in the train by her boyfriend, who is a railway conductor played by none other than Andrei Konchalovsky, who later wins an Oscar for Burnt by the Sun. And Burnt by the Sun 2 and 3, which we talked about. He's besties with Putin now.
And kind of has the body shape of the weird sailor in La Talente.
Yeah, like that's what Russians think is hot. Stocky lizards. And anyway, but he causes a little kerfuffle with our hero by taking his passport, accidentally leaving with his passport. And he's not going to be back for a couple days when he's back for another regular stop. So this guy's stuck in this town for a couple days. She feels bad, so she hangs out with him. All these situations keep forcing them to be together. She misses her bus home, and then they end up falling in love. I wondered if that ABBA song was authorized. Remember when they go to that woman's house and she shows them how a VHS player works, which is hysterically funny. She also keeps singing Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. I don't know if you noticed every time
I did notice that.
Yeah. Anyway, you know, it's the out-of-towners with state repression. It finds a romantic comedic story to tell within the confines of what Soviet society is doing to its people. These two actors have such marvelous chemistry. They're both such good actors. They're both so good. I mean, she's a bit of a Party City Wig situation, but
But she could also win Best Actress. She's a better choice than Hannah Shigula.
she's so good. It's just that this movie is so fucking long.
That's it.
I wasn't bored, but I also kept checking the time, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, we have a whole hour?
It's a Russian Judd Apatow movie.
Yes, totally. Like, it's so long. I never want to watch it again, but it is good.
And like it gets so many things right. The opening credits font is gorgeous.
Uh-huh.
The jazz score is incredible.
Yeah.
The pop song that comes on at the end as they're chasing as they're trying to run to the check-in time for roll call.
Yeah.
Like really good taste, but it's really indulgent. And this movie, it has no damn business being longer than 100 minutes.
Absolutely.
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 The heyday of most film is fantastic. We've been having a good time watching old most film productions. I love the budget committed to these movies. And I know that means that a whole bunch of people don't have proper plumbing. But like this movie is dazzling.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I'm very happy to talk about this film.
Oh, me too.
El Sur by Víctor Erice.
Which for some reason did not win a fucking prize.
Which is insanity. Erice debuted with The Spirit of the Beehive in the early 70s, which is a movie I really love.
It's really magical.
And he's only made 3 more feature films since. He's made a lot of shorts.
The Quince Tree Sun and then Close Your Eyes?
Yeah.
Close Your Eyes.
Close Your Eyes. So yeah, he's only made 3 movies since. They were all worth the wait. He's so fucking good. Close Your Eyes is one of the best films I've seen in forever. It's so fucking good. Anyway, this film is one that he always talks about as an unfinished project. It's 90 minutes long. The original script was more than 400 pages. It was scheduled to be shot for 81 days, and then halfway through, the producer pulled the plug. He said it was because funding fell out, but then he later said, no, it's just because I thought the movie was fine as it was. We didn't need any more. This was a bone of contention between the two of them. Erice never agreed to this, and he never agreed to it. Like, he never, in retrospect, agreed to it. The movie takes place in northern Spain, and then the south of Spain is a subject in it. And then, of course, the unfinished other half would have been her going to the south of Spain to explore her father's culture and what she learns about it. Erice's 2023 film Close Your Eyes, which, as I said, is a masterpiece, involves the resurrection of an unfinished project. So, not in this exact way, but it's clearly informed by this experience. We watch a young woman who she's growing up in Franco, Spain. She's in the chillier north. Her father, we find out, had been on the side of the Republicans and very much disagreed with his father, who was pro-Franco, which is why he lives on the other side of the country from him. And she's learning about this the way a lot of us will learn as children about our family situations.
Through gossipy aunties?
Through gossiping women who let things slip, basically. Especially when there's an uncomfortable family situation that no one wants to talk about, it always comes out.
I knew you loved that.
We have 2 little girls, right? Because we see her as a young girl, and then we see her later on.
Yeah.
The older of the 2, who is the bigger part of the film, is played by Isiar Boyain, who later became a director. She made the movie Even the Rain with Gael Garcia Bernal, and she's married to Paul Laverty, who writes all of Ken Loach's movies.
Oh.
Yeah. And so that's basically what this movie is about. It has elements of almost magic to it. Like, her father apparently has this talent as a dowser.
Yeah.
It's one of Pedro Almodovar's favorite films, understandably. It's a movie that talks about regional identities in Spanish culture, which is a really, really important thing. There's a lot of elements about that in Almodovar's films that a lot of us don't know when we're not from there, when we watch his movies, that I learned about from reading books about him. It's a bit of a precursor to Pan's Labyrinth, I find. I feel like that movie takes a lot of imagery and thematics from this movie.
And I see Cria Cuervos in Pan's Labyrinth a lot. I love movies where camera's doing incredible things, but not self-consciously, so that it's only when you go back and watch it a second or a third time that you realize, oh shit, we got all the way from this side of the room to this side of the room in one movement. Like when the camera takes us into the wedding, I think it's a wedding party that's on the other side of the restaurant where her and her father are having a meal and catching up. And in that same scene, he goes to the washroom to rinse his face. That whole scene is perfection.
Yeah.
This movie is so quiet and it's so small in its scope that you could mistakenly call it a small movie, and it's not.
No.
It's really aesthetically big. It's really ambitious in how it addresses its themes. And I understand he's so brokenhearted because he wanted to make a movie where the South would mirror the North, where she would go to the South and then pass information onto her half brother the same way that information was brought to her by her aunts from the South.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's supposed to be two mirror images or mirror opposites. And then what's interesting is that in the source story that it's based on, the section in the South is only like 12 extra pages, but it sounds like it carries a lot of import.
Yeah.
I love the father's performance. That's an Italian actor. That's impressive Spanish.
Who we're going to watch in the next episode when we do Padre Padrone.
Cool. The child actor is good. Between this girl and Anna Torrent, he's doing really good with child actors. Like, that's a rare feat. Anna Torrent is just one of the all-time greatest child actors.
I also love the way small things have big import in this movie. You know, like she finds those postcards of like Sevilla or something, and like, you know that as a child, her idea of the South that her father came from is filled with imagery created from those postcards. And like, we've all had that experience as a kid, seeing one photo of a relative that created an entire world in our minds of who they are and where they came from and what their life was like.
Or the receipt. Just holding on to the receipt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just wonderful. And speaking of breaking my heart, up next we have Tender Mercies by Bruce Beresford. This movie plays at Cannes at the beginning of a very successful year for it. By the end of the year, it was one of the most acclaimed films in Hollywood and won 2 Oscars, including Best Actor for Robert Duvall and Best Original Screenplay. Bruce Beresford was an Australian filmmaker who had already made Breaker Morant in 1980 at Cannes. He brought it to Cannes, and he came back with The Fringe Dwellers in 86 and the omnibus film Aria in 1987, which was directed by a whole bunch of filmmakers. Duvall plays a broken country singer past his prime who's now just an alcoholic. He comes to in a Fleabag motel in the middle of nowhere, Texas, where the owner tells him he can stay if he wants to work off his bill, but she doesn't allow drinking, and it encourages him to clean up. He marries her. She's played by the great Tess Harper, who would soon be a Spice Girl a few years later, in a fantastic debut performance. He becomes a father to her kid, and his past is not far behind him. His very, very famous Tammy Wynette-esque ex-wife comes to town to do a concert, and putting them back in the same room together is not good for his equilibrium. And also, she brings with her the daughter that he never got to know, played by a incredibly young Ellen Barkin.
Right after Diner.
Yeah. Betty Buckley is incredible in this film. Her singing is outstanding.
Would this be before her Tony for Cats?
It's around the same time. I don't know if it's before or after.
She's fucking amazing.
She performs the Oscar-nominated song, and she does it incredibly well.
Chris Hardigan, get that bubblegum out of your mouth.
Who are you going to the prom with?
Billy Nolan.
Who?
Billy Nolan.
Smack. Duvall is in a wonderful mode in this film. The low-key beauty of this performance. And this incredible screenplay. Horton Foote had never written a film directly for the screen before. He had adapted, and of course he was a famous playwright. I love how this film moves through its plot so quickly, but it doesn't move through the emotions of it quickly. Like, things have already, you know, their courtship and everything, like, time passes. It knows how to find all the right moments worth focusing on without making us sit through the development of everything.
It's economical.
I love when people get kids right. The fact that the bullies at school are like, hey, your dad's dead. And that's like how they taunt him.
We got this kid. We've got little kid in Cross Creek. We've got the 2 girls in El Sur. It's a good comp for kid performances. Yeah,
the only thing I'll say about Cross Creek is that those kids are all far too clean for Bayou kids in Florida poverty. But this movie, Tender Mercies, has script supervision by Anne Rapp. She would later on write Cookie's Fortune. Production designed by the amazing Janine Opperwall, who is one of the very best. She was nominated for LA Confidential.
Didn't you feel like you were watching HUD at one point?
A little bit. And what I liked about this movie is that, you know, we have a lot of foreign filmmakers making movies about rural American culture in the 80s. And it doesn't feel like he's filming the South like a foreigner. I mean, filming rural Australia is not that different anyway.
Did you know that they burned a whole field to make it flat?
God, the movie business really is a blessing and a curse on this planet. I can't talk about this movie without starting to cry because this movie breaks my heart in a way very few movies do. These are people, I have to read from my notes because I'm going to sound like such an idiot, but these are people for whom life is very hard and they're not allowed to complain about it because if they do, the people around them will say, well, you know, life is hard for everybody, so don't complain. And that's why you have to rely on God's blessings and tender mercies to get you through because you can't actually reach out for the help you need. These people cannot express their pain. It breaks my heart so hard when she says, when he meets with his daughter and she says, you've been here this whole time and you've never said my name. She can't ask him, have you missed me? Have you thought about me? Did you love me all this time? And so that's what she has to say. And he can't tell her how heartbroken he is over the time he hasn't had with her. So he lies and he says, oh, I don't know that song you're talking about that you remembered me singing when you were a kid. And then she leaves and he sings it with his back to us out the window.
Talk about a key scene where you don't see the face.
I mean, has my heart ever been broken the way it is by this movie? It gets me somewhere very, very, very deep.
Duval and Hoot should have both won.
Yeah.
I would especially say for Hoot, this screenplay is like a masterclass.
Did you say Hoot?
Is that his last name?
Foot.
What's his first name?
Horton.
That's what it is.
He hears a who. He hears a hoot.
I just took Horton Foot and made Hoot.
Also, one of the band members is played by Lenny Van Dolen, the guy with the beautiful blue eyes, who was a member of our team and died a few years ago. Unfortunately, he wasn't that old, but
was it AIDS?
No, it wasn't. He missed that particular fad. And as always, my favorite game to play when watching any movie is, how old was Wilford Brimley when he shot this? And guess what? He was my age. Wilford Brimley died, a year ago, 2 years ago, and everyone was shocked because they thought he was 80 years old 30 years ago.
And I have never seen this side of a Duval before.
Yeah.
I'm used to the Duval of like City Hall and the Godfather movies. I identify with him as a sort of
righteous.
Austere masculinity.
Yeah.
You know, he's a more talented James Coburn.
Yeah. Or getting an Oscar nomination for shitting his pants in The Judge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I am a whole new Robert Duvall fan because I've seen this movie now.
Next, L'Homme Blessé, The Wounded Man by Patrice Chéreau. We just talked about Chéreau in the last episode because he is portrayed by Louis Malle in Les Amandiers.
Louis Garrel.
What did I say? Oh my God, Louis Garrel. Louis Garrel in Les Amandiers, Forever Young. And of course, because he was the head of the Les Amandiers acting school, as well as a venerated theater director and sometime filmmaker. This is not his first film as director, certainly not his last. He would win the jury prize for Queen Margot in 1994, and then finished off with Those Who Don't Love Me Can Take the Train in 1998. Was his last film Son Frère? I asked this before. Anyway, he passed away in 2013.
And he also is the head of a jury in a future episode we'll be doing.
Right. Won the Best Original Screenplay César Award for this movie. This is a movie about a very gorgeous young Jean-Hugues Anglade, who I just adore. And my taste well enough to know that this twink was tailor-made in a factory just for me.
I had so many questions for you as I was watching this.
Right. Like, have you touched yourself yet? Are you still touching yourself? Will you ever stop touching yourself? Please stop touching yourself.
Would you ever follow a guy who looked like this to a second location while he had his hands in his pockets? Like, I had a lot of questions.
He plays a young man who, we realize is basically coming into his own identity as a gay man. He's very young. He lives with the most miserable parents you ever saw in your life. One of them played by Armin Mueller-Stahl, who is dubbed in French because he's a German actor, later to play the father in Shine. And he is seeing his sister off at the train station and then goes to the bathroom, catches a glimpse of a very sexy hustler played by Vittorio Mezzogiorno, who is also in another movie we're going to talk about in a minute.
And whose daughter is in Vincere.
Vincere, yeah. And who is dubbed by Gerard Depardieu in this movie, doing his dialogue.
The face. It works for you?
Yeah, I like a leonine face.
He looks like if Jeremy Northam was an iguana.
And also a really sexy body that doesn't look like a gym body. Oh,
incredible body.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So he becomes obsessed with him. He comes back to the station to find him, and he ends up kind of being roped into his world of like petty thievery, hustling, all this stuff. Mezzogiorno also has a on-again, off-again girlfriend that Jean-Jacques Anglais ends up invading the private space of, played by Lisa Kreutzer, who's also in The American Friend, who's stunning.
Truly.
I really enjoy this movie because I love the look of it. I love how sexy it is. It's a really queer movie in a way that we're not used to in 1983, even among the very provocative French. It's just not quite. It's another movie where it's like there isn't quite enough keeping things going by the time we reach the third act.
This is a salient metaphor describing this movie, but it's kind of like a Twinkie pastry. Like it's delicious, but there's really not a lot of substance to it. What's working about it, is a sense of a place and a time.
Yes.
It's great to watch, like going back and watching Smithereens, Fox and His Friends, even Cruising.
80s grit.
I love this small town where every guy is cruising.
That train station, like no one's riding trains ever at that station.
There are only men in leather and denim down to fuck everywhere you go.
And there is not a free urinal in that bathroom.
That bathroom is a dark room that's not dark.
Yes, totally. It totally is.
I do believe it's a well-written screenplay in that I get the sense that what's on the page is a lot more about like instructions for the actors than dialogue. The real hero of the movie and who's carrying the movie along is our lead, who is heartbreaking and is so confused. And I think that there's something was left on the cutting room floor, or there's just an extra scene that needs to be added, so we can believe that this guy has really been ruined in a matter of 2 weeks, because it feels like for him to get to basically his l'argent ending, we need there to be a few more events in the chain.
That wasn't a problem for me. I totally bought it because he's so cockmatized by this guy the minute he sees them that he literally decides to jump off a cliff. So that part made sense to me. What I'm amazed by is how good an actor he is and how sympathetic he is, because this is a character who is foolish and passive for so long that normally it's the kind of thing that makes me want to smack you across the face. But I feel so tender for him. And it's not just because I'm like hot for him. It really is like there's so much going on. And he went on to have this incredible career as one of the most beautiful men in French cinema. He's still very handsome. He's like 70 years old and he still looks great. He's most famous probably for La Femme Nikita, but
Killing Zoe. Killing Zoe.
Yeah. But he's just wonderful, and it's such a wonderful debut. And I also like the look. I mean, I made a bit of a fuss because we couldn't find a good copy of it, so I just, in my perimenopausal mood, ordered the Blu-ray off Amazon to watch because I needed to see those dicks in high definition.
And it's a good Blu-ray. Like the booklet with all those essays. I'm not giving it back to you right away. I need to watch all the extras.
Okay, but make sure you give it back to me. I want it back.
Well, the pages will be stuck together.
Great. I was excited to watch it again. I did see this movie many years ago, so long ago that I rented it on VHS from the library.
Wow.
And last movie before we get to our Dan Jador is a 1982 film that opened at the end of the year in Australia and then came to the rest of the world after the new year. That is The Year of Living Dangerously by Peter Weir, which by the end of the year won an Oscar for Linda Hunt for Best Supporting Actress. To date, the only time an actor has played the opposite sex, a cisgendered actor playing the opposite cisgender, because we can say that Hilary Swank won for playing a transgender man. And of course, what has become more prominent in the discussion of her performance is that she's also playing it in Yellowface as well.
Yeah.
He originally had a different actor who wasn't connecting with Mel Gibson and decided to recast. But what is this movie about? It's about a dewy, gorgeous young Mel Gibson who was never, ever, ever better looking than he is in this film.
Jesus Christ.
And literally like fell off a cliff a day after he stopped shooting, because Lethal Weapon is only 4 years after this and he already looks 14 years older.
But also in this movie, he looks like a hot 38-year-old and he's only 27.
I know. So Mel Gibson is a journalist. This movie is based on a book by C.J. Koch, how do you pronounce it? Who based it on his brother's experiences as a journalist in Indonesia. Mel Gibson comes to Jakarta in the mid-60s and basically witnesses the fall of President Sukarno and the rise of the military dictatorship of Suharto that lasted for like 30 years. And was I have Chinese friends who grew up there and then left for the reasons of the political situation that is covered in this film.
But be honest, how many minutes into the movie before you realize Suharto and Sukarno were different?
Yeah, I had to do a little Googling because it really is unfortunate how similar they were.
Yeah.
But that's also a problem with this movie. This movie is a Harlequin romance pretending to be a political thriller. And if it were more honest about it, I'd be more forgiving about it. As it is, I really love this movie.
Yeah.
It's like the height. This is the kind of movie I would watch as a kid and would think, man, this is going to be my life as a grown up. This is grown up life. These are grown up movies. So glamorous, you know. Of course, now I watch them and I have a smarter perspective of the fact that, you know, it's set in Indonesia and it's all about white people. Um, it has a very loose connection with the actual political story. The main conflict in this movie is the fact that, you know, he has an affair with a woman from the embassy played by Sigourney Weaver, who never quite works for me when she's playing Brits. Her accent is never good enough. And I know her mom was British and whatever, but it just doesn't work. And she gives him a scoop about Suharto's planned coup,
Yeah.
and he publishes the story even though he puts her at risk. And that's like the main conflict. Billy Kwan is his photographer, played by Linda Hunt, in a truly captivating performance.
Truly.
And then his subplot is his coming to realize that Sukarno isn't the great man that he thinks he is, and that leads to tragedy. This movie is so dynamic. It's so sexy. It's so enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's just really dumb, and it doesn't seem to realize it. Peter Weir was an amazing filmmaker. He never made a bad movie, and they're usually a lot denser than this, but yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, it's pretty anemic, but it's looks and sounds really good. The music is really good.
Mostly composed by Maurice Jarre, but the music
This-
that we know, like the famous theme, is Vangelis.
We are in that period where everything is by Vangelis or Tangerine Dream.
Totally, and I love it.
Yeah, same here. All of the crowd scenes are really good. Like it, I understand it's filmed in the Philippines, not in Jakarta.
Yeah, and they're all speaking Tagalog.
Yeah, the whole thing is really beautiful and not substantial, including a really great performance by Michael Murphy.
So good.
That guy, first of all, what a career. That guy like has probably been in like more movies than Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
And then this Linda Hunt performance, I know it's yellowface, but also I was never thinking about how he was yellowface the whole time I was watching it because I forget she's playing an Asian man because it's so not Mickey Rourke in Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Absolutely.
It's
Well, I
such
mean, he's an Australian who is, I think, of half Asian background, something like that. But the casting works so beautifully because Mel Gibson in this movie is so convincingly vulnerable. He genuinely seems like he doesn't know what end is up. And she is amazing at being the one who knows, the confidence. Like they're such a beautiful combination together.
Mm-hmm.
And it's particularly heartbreaking how good he is in this movie because he's going to be a smartass in the next movie and for the rest of his career.
And that kind of like preppy tanned man in a blue shirt and brown khakis with a messenger bag.
Yeah.
Like, sign me up.
And Sigourney said, she's like, that's the most beautiful man I ever saw in my life when I showed up to work with him. All right. It's turkey time. All right. Of course, before we get to our best in show, we like to get to our worst in show. And we pick our film that we give the Dand Door to, the Golden Turkey. And this year, Greg and I picked the same movie. We haven't done this in a while, so it's nice to be in sync.
I know, and it is a classic of the cinema Duduki.
The movie is Moon in the Gutter by Jean-Jacques Beineix. Beineix made his breakthrough in the early 80s with one of my favorite movies from the 80s, Diva from 1981. Later in the 80s, he made Betty Blue, which is a movie I've never seen, but all my friends masturbate to the opening sex scene, which is Jean Uzanglade and what's her name? Teeth. Béatrice Dalle.
Hi, Saeed.
Which was nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah.
And in the middle of them, he made a movie where it appears that he was given a budget and a set and thought, I've got 1 month to shoot all these famous actors. I'll come up with a script on the spot. Like, that's how this movie feels to me.
It's a big budget.
With fucking nothing happening. The bare bones of the plot is that Gerard Depardieu's sister has been raped and then kills herself. She slices her own throat in an alleyway while wearing lingerie. I mean, it's a lot. He vows to find the guys and get revenge, and then he just runs around a wharf for 2 hours and then interacts with two women, one of them played by Nastasia Kinski in Dior, who's like a photographer or something,
Yeah.
and has a hot rod car. And then another one is the lower, I guess possibly sex worker, played by Victoria Abril, who has always been gorgeous. I mean, she's just so great.
I just never knew she ever had like an Annabella Sciorra face.
Apparently, the original cut was 4 hours long, and he wanted to create a director's cut after doing the Betty Blue director's cut, but the studio told him that they destroyed all the cut scenes. Thank God, because as it is at 2 hours and 15 minutes or whatever it is interminable. I did not stay awake for the whole thing, and I don't fucking care because nothing was happening.
At all. At all.
Depardieu himself calls this movie the film in the gutter.
There's nothing happening in this movie.
There is nothing happening in this movie.
Other than production design and tits.
The only thing it has going for it, and it's not enough to save it from being interminable to sit through, is that every image is gorgeous. And in that wonderful 80s way where it's like film noir in color with touches of neon. Like there are so many incredible images, but that's all there is to it. And I can flip through images in a book. Like sitting through it is torture.
It is. And like I talked about how like a movie like Nostalghia is, you know, maybe doing a little too much with some gorgeous imagery for what it's really about. But like this movie is the far extreme of that critique where someone showed up to set without a script and then just started doing things they thought looked cool. I have not seen the classic 80s works of Léos Carax or Luc Besson, but I mean, you tell me, like, is this representative of that generation of movies? Because then I'm not game for them. I don't want to.
No, I mean they're all better. Even when they're bad, they're all better than this.
Okay, thank God.
Yeah,
it kind of reminded me of the Janie's Got a Gun video. Do you know what I mean? Just like really good, like rainy street photography. But it's all just it's just aesthetics. It's just aesthetics and no substance.
Yeah, and I'm sure that people watched this movie and were inspired by it in that way. Don't forget, everyone paid attention to Nastasia Kinski back then. In the early 80s, she was a really big fucking deal. And if she was in a movie that you heard was the worst thing you'd ever seen in your life, you were still going to go see it.
And Gerard Depardieu is like fantastic from eyebrows down. He's got the craziest Friar Tuck haircut.
Yeah, it's a bad haircut.
I also, as I texted you, like I said, like, oh, Gerard Depardieu trying to investigate a rape. That's precious.
Sure is. Yeah. But he still fits into the car at this point. So, you know, it helps him get the job done. This movie's shot by Philippe Rousselot, who would later win an Oscar for A River Runs Through It. All right. It's time
for the Palm.
The Palme d'Or for 1983 went to The Ballad of Narayama by Shōhei Imamura, based on the novella by Shichiro Fukazawa. This story was originally filmed as a 1958 movie by Keisuke Kinoshita in kabuki theater style. It's a beautiful, beautiful film. I didn't know that there was an earlier film of this, and when I bought that movie on Criterion, I thought I was buying this movie, which I had already seen and really liked.
Hilarious.
And it wasn't until I was like pulling the plastic off the DVD that I was like, 1958? What did I buy?
Although, when is this getting the big treatment? Because like,
I don't know. I don't know why it hasn't.
It's great that it's accessible online and good version, but
yeah.
Give me the extras.
It's kind of a good version. They've done in sprucing it up for streaming, because Canopy usually streams a good quality film, but they've done that thing where they smudge the image a little bit in the name of restoring it instead of allowing it to stay a bit gritty, but it does look good. Imamura came back to Cannes with Zagan in 1987, Black Rain, not the Michael Douglas movie, in 1989, which won the Technical Grand Prize. Unagi, he won another Palme in 1997, and his last time at Cannes was Warm Water Under a Red Bridge. This movie won the Japanese Academy Award for Best Film and Best Actor. The actress in it actually had her teeth extracted for that scene, which is
crazy.
Like, please tell me there was another reason. Like, you were planning to do it anyway.
Or like, maybe she wanted removable teeth for practical purposes.
I don't know. So what is this movie about? The story that it's based on is inspired by a folk legend of the village of Narayama, where apparently the poor villagers deal with the limits of resources that they have to get through life by deciding that when an elder turns a certain age, I think it's like 69 or 70, they are taken up to the top of the mountain to be left to die of exposure. It's a sort of a point of honor for them, so that when we meet our protagonist's family, the old lady is ashamed of the fact that she has very strong teeth and that she's still alive, and that because her son can't bear
Hmm.
to do this awful thing of taking her up a mountain to leave her to die. What son could? And then we have all these other stories of what's going on in the village, and everything is related to, hardship and poverty. We have other families scrounging to get by. His son is an absolute horn dog because he's young and he's horny, and he gets a girl pregnant who is from a totally trashy family who it turns out have been stealing food from everybody else. They steal a lot of food.
They're the Yule family.
But like, that stuff's not going to last long enough for you guys to fucking eat it. Like when they unveil their stores, it's like mountains of potatoes.
Yeah, I did kind of wonder. It's like all of his stuff is missing. Who do we go to? I guess we'll go to one of the only other two families in the area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically. And then he also gets a new wife because he's a widower, and then a woman comes from another village.
But not before he fucks the village bicycle who needs to do something for her late husband.
Oh yeah, she has to do penance for her dead husband by fucking every man in the village. This movie is teeming with life everywhere in ways that are almost ridiculous, but that I love. Every time we see people canoodling, we cut to like praying mantises or squirrels or whatever, fucking, giving birth, dying, all the things. Like, this movie starts with them peeing. That's the first scene of this movie. Like, the banalities of life, our physical bodies and the thing they do. And, Imamura wasn't quite as provocative as Ōshima.
Yeah.
But he also was somebody who was trying to break through this sort of cultural Japanese reserve where, this is a culture that highly codifies human experiences as a way to keep the unpleasantness private, right? To keep us from having to deal with each other's realities.
This is a very non-stoic movie.
And like, he's breaking through all of it. Like, no, we're peeing in front of you. We're fucking in front of you. We're dying in front of you. We're eating in front of you. We're stealing in front of you. We're doing all the good and bad things that humans do as a way to shake people up. And of course, the movie was a bit controversial because of it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was, especially for the sex scenes, because they, as far as I know, especially back in the past, they were quite highly censorious of that sort of thing. And this movie goes very much against that sort of romantic vision of village life that we get from things like Seven Samurai.
Yes.
It's the complete opposite, where it's like, no, this poverty is not charming. This poverty it's degradation, and it leads to people living their life constantly to an extreme, to the point that we then respond to it with this elegiac third act, where all the noise suddenly
40
cuts
minutes
out,
long,
and it's just him going up that mountain with his mother until he has to do this unthinkable deed. And we realize that sorrow is also one of these banal realities that must be dealt with and exposed in a way that we're exposing everything else.
I found myself really struck by the moral codes on display in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, it's a movie about a family life in a rural area over the seasons, and it's also about pastoral life. In the midst of that, there's a lot of grotesquerie,
Mm-hmm.
and there is really morally challenging decisions that are feel like they're part of a total moral system.
They bury the thieves alive.
That was fucked up. Like, this movie, I had no idea that what this movie was going to be doing. I had no idea the kind of violence and sex I was going to be seeing in it. Yeah, I love that it's paired with images of like the harvest and hunting and gathering and preparing for winters and preparing for end of life and doing end of life rituals and traditions.
Because it's all life.
These
things are all life, and this is such an amoral movie in this regard because it's all just a part of it.
I know. And that grandma is so fucking gangster. I watched this movie. I watched two movies twice because the first time I watched them, I was like, I don't know, like I got home from work, got to return to the library in 2 days, got to put it in. I'm not in the mood tonight. I'm going to make it work. But then when I was done, I was like, nope, I was distracted. I need to rewatch L'Argent. I need to rewatch Ballad of Narayama, and they each both majorly improved in my esteem. It is filled with really cool set pieces. Like it's everything that, like, all of its naturalism and all of its like day-to-day scenes are all really beautiful and always from a unique point of view in terms of like what's in the foreground, what's in the background, how things are framed. But you also just have really cool memorable scenes like going up the mountain and seeing all of the above ground graveyard of like skeletons.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, burying the burying the neighbors. That scene is crazy. The chasing of the rabbit up the hill, the scene where he shoots the gun at the tree that he believes marks the spirit of his father who he shot, the scene of the woman yelling at the guy to stop just looking at her pussy and get in there already. And yeah, I'm excited for when we do the eel and for watching more Imamura. And I thought Tetsuhei, I think that's the oldest son's name. I find him so attractive.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, what's his name? Kichikiri. I find him really cute too. The older lady who agrees to fuck the smelly brother Ryusuke because she can't smell anything, and then anyway, and she's just quietly in awe that her bits are still working. It's a really funny movie,
Yeah,
and then
it's also a really funny movie.
And it's also a really scary movie.
I had the great privilege of seeing this for the first time on a big screen. They played it at Jackman Hall years ago, and I went with my friend Colette, who I don't think is listening, but if she is, hi Colette, and hope you're well. I just saw you a few months ago, and hopefully I'll see you again. And we were both blown away by it. And I remember it was when Cinematheque was still at Jackman Hall, so we went to Baldwin Street. We ate at the vegetarian restaurant there after, and just couldn't stop talking about it. We were both so, and like we're talking minimum 15 years ago that this happened, and I remember the night with such clarity because of the impression that this movie made on me. And rewatching it for the show was my first time seeing it again since then.
I'm having like I'm trying not to say Bill and Ted things about this movie, but like my most loud thought about it was like, whoa, that was fucked up.
And being overwhelmed by it in a movie theater was so exciting.
It's fucked up Little House on the Prairie.
Totally.
Like it's a movie about the preciousness of life in the most sublime landscapes, but it's accompanied by all of this body humor and brutal violence.
Yeah. No, it's wonderful.
Yeah. Including our first and second year of the Cannes Film Festival, we've done over 40 top prize winners, and this is in the top half for sure.
Greg, that leads me to my next question. If you were going to give the Palme d'Or to any film from this year's competition, would it still be The Ballad of Narayama, or would you pick something else?
I would pick something else.
What would you pick?
Indulge me for a second. So I would give...
we're going to get the whole roster again.
Yeah, you're going to get the whole fucking roster.
You.
Love you, mean it. My prix du scenario would go to Horton Foote for Tender Mercies. I would give my best actor to Jean-Jacques Anglade for The Wounded Man, because I don't believe in giving two prizes to a movie. I would give best actress to Sandra Bernhard for King of Comedy. Best director to Shōhei Imamura for Ballad of Narayama. My prix de jury to Carlos Saura for Carmen. My Grand Prix to Víctor Erice for Erice for El Sur. And my Palme d'Or goes to Robert Bresson for L'Argent.
Amazing.
Yeah. How about you, Bill?
Did not expect that. I think The Ballad of Narayama is a great choice. I think El Sur would have been a great choice. I think Carmen could have been a great choice. I think L'Argent could have been a great choice. I think there's a lot of great movies in this selection, but I think they picked the right one. This movie stands out just a little bit further from all the rest of them in its audacity, and that's what I love about it. I think it's a really appropriate choice for the Palme d'Or.
Palm-sized as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Greg, if you could give a Palme d'Or to any film from 1983, which would it be?
I'm going to give it to probably my favorite documentary of all time, one that continues to confound me, and that is Sans Soleil by Chris Marker. One of the best movies about memory and about the slippages of memory and how it resists narrative and linear narrative. I love travelogues. I love this movie about how you can never know a place, and when you go back to it, it's not the same place. I love that it's in the voice of somebody writing to somebody else. And it has beautiful images and beautiful sounds. And I love that T.S. Eliot quote that opens it.
It's been a long time since you picked a movie I haven't seen.
Bill, what would you pick?
I think the best movie of 1983 is one I already mentioned, which is Entre Nous by Diane Curis, starring Isabelle Huppert and Miu Miu. This is, I think, my favorite Isabelle movie, certainly in like my top 3. I love this film so much. They play 2 women who survive the end of the war and become housewives in the sort of new suburban consumerist paradise of post-war Paris or post-war France.
Cool.
But are in these empty marriages and end up finding solace in each other, possibly more than just as friends, but like the movie is really hands off about that. It's based on a woman writing about her actual her mother, and they certainly become each other's shoulders to cry on and best friends, and they create a bond between them that is incredibly special, that sort of subverts the patriarchal world that is ruling their lives. It's set in the 50s. It's this gorgeous widescreen movie. It's so beautiful. It was nominated for an Oscar as well, alongside Fanny and Alexander and Carmen. And I think it's just incredible. I love this movie so much.
That's really cool. That's a movie I've never seen. And
yeah. I discovered it. I watched it with Tamila the first time at Jackman Hall during the Isabel retrospective, and we were both blown away.
Well, as I'm a growing Isabellican, I have my work cut out for me. I have another title to go watch.
Mm-hmm.
Is there French incest in it?
There might be. I don't remember.
Okay.
Greg, always a great time with you. And tell our listeners what we're doing next.
Well, speaking of Isabel, we're going back to one of the years where she won a Best Actress award. We're going back to 2001, the year when the Palme d'Or went to Nanni Moretti for The Sun's Room.
Can't wait. We'll see you then.
See you then. Thank you for listening to Riviera Rats.
Our podcast is hosted and produced by Bill Antoniou and Gregory Roseborough.
Our music is by Joe Organ.
Our artwork is by Leo Kuvaris.
Follow us on Instagram at Riviera Rats.
Write to us at ratsriviera@gmail.com.
If you want to support our show, tell your friends about us.
Leave us a rating and a review on whatever podcast app you use.